Hello everyone, Xeno What If here. For anyone who is new to my channel, do not forget to subscribe immediately and also leave a comment down below for any suggestions for new video ideas. Here to bring in the movie of What If Jaune Arc became a Keyblade user. Link down description of the fanfiction of this What If. This is going to be one of the most epic crossovers of RWBYX Kingdom Hearts. Jaune Arc will be traveling to many Disney universes including Star Wars universe. Listen here YouTube. I do not own anything and this is not a scam. Prologue. The Broken Key. Location. Remnant, the Arc Estate. Year. Night. The rain fell in sheets, soaking the grass, the stone walls, the small boy who knelt alone in the mud. He was 5 years old. His name was Jaune Arc. And he had just been told he was worthless. The Arc clan, the Arc family had once been proud. Generations of huntsmen and huntresses. A name whispered with respect in the halls of Beacon, in the courts of Vale, in the hearts of those they had saved. But pride, like all things, decays. By the time Jaune was born, the Arc clan was no longer about heroism. It was about status, about wealth, about power. And Jaune had none of those things. Jacques Arc, patriarch, distant, cold, looked at his youngest son the way one might look at a defective tool. Isabelle Arc, matriarch, sharp-tongued, ambitious, saw only weakness in his small frame, his hesitant voice, his softness. Cerise, Saffron, Basil, Azure, Lapis, Lazuli, Lavender, his older siblings, learned from their parents. They pushed him, shoved him, mocked him. Weak, useless, why were you even born? Jaune learned to keep his eyes on the ground, to make himself small, to disappear. But tonight, something had changed. Tonight, they had gone too far. The abandonment. Cerise, her voice dripping with disdain, father is right. You're a disgrace to the Arc name. Saffron, not meeting his eyes, maybe you should just leave. Basil, laughing, leave. Where would he go? He can't even hold a wooden sword. Jaune, quietly, his voice cracking, I can learn. I can get stronger. Lapis, cutting him off, you'll never be strong. It's not in you. Lazuli, patting his head, condescending, cruel, some people are just born weak, Jaune. It's not your fault. It's just reality. Lavender, the youngest of his sisters, but no kinder, just go away, Jaune. You're embarrassing us. No one defended him. No one spoke for him. His mother turned away. His father walked out of the room. And Jaune Arc, 5 years old, small, frightened, was left alone in the rain. The prayer. Jaune didn't know how long he knelt in the mud. Minutes. Hours. It didn't matter. The rain soaked through his clothes. The cold seeped into his bones. But the worst pain was inside his chest, a hollow ache where love should have been. Jaune, whispering, his voice barely audible, please. He looked up at the sky, dark, empty, uncaring. Jaune, if someone's listening, please, give me power. Not to hurt them. Not to get revenge. His small hands clenched into fists. To help. To protect people who can't protect themselves. To be a hero. The rain fell. The thunder rolled. And then, light. The portal. The ground beneath Jaune opened. Not like a crack in the earth. Not like a sinkhole. Like a door. Golden light poured out, wrapping around his small body, lifting him off the muddy ground. He didn't scream. He didn't struggle. He just fell. Through darkness. Through light. Through places that had no names. And then, stop. The wizard. Jaune landed on something soft. Carpet. Old carpet, worn thin by centuries of footsteps. He pushed himself up, his small body trembling, and looked around. He was in a tower. A massive tower, walls lined with books, with glowing crystals, with things he didn't have words for. Starlight streamed through arched windows. The air smelled of old paper and something sweet, like honey. And in the center of the room, sitting in a chair that looked as old as time itself, was a wizard. Not a huntsman, not a scientist, something older. His beard was long and white. His robes shimmered with constellations. His eyes, held the weight of 1,000 worlds. Jaune, his voice small, who are you? The wizard smiled, not cruelly, not warmly, but knowingly. Wizard, I am the one who heard your prayer, child. Jaune blinked. My prayer. Wizard, Leaning forward, you knelt in the mud, abandoned by your family, rejected by your world. And yet you did not ask for revenge. You did not ask for wealth or status. He tilted his head. You asked for the power to protect. John, quietly, is that wrong? Wizard, shaking his head, it is the purest request I have heard in centuries. He stood, his movements slow, deliberate, ancient, and walked toward John. Wizard, your world is called Remnant. It is plagued by creatures of darkness, the grim. But there are other worlds, child. Other darknesses. Other threats. He knelt, bringing himself to John's eye level. Wizard, and there are those who fight them. Warriors who wield not guns or swords, but something older. Something stronger. He raised his hand, and light gathered in his palm. The keyblade. John felt it before he saw it. A warmth in his chest. A pull in his hand. Something awakening. Wizard, this is the keyblade. It is not a weapon you swing. It is a partner you bond with. It chooses the pure of heart, those who seek not to dominate, but to defend. The light coalesced, and John saw it. A blade, a sword, a key. Silver and gold, its teeth forming a design he didn't recognize. The handle was wrapped in leather that felt warm to the touch. The shaft hummed with energy, not electricity, but something deeper. John, staring, what is this? Wizard, your second chance. John reached out, his small fingers wrapped around the handle. And the keyblade sang, the choice, wizard, you will not return to Remnant the same boy who left it. You will train, you will learn, you will visit worlds beyond your imagination, worlds of light, of darkness, and of everything in between. He placed a hand on John's shoulder. Wizard, you will become a keyblade warrior. The first of your world. Perhaps not the last. John looked at the keyblade. At the wizard. At the tower filled with stars. John, what do I call myself? Wizard, raising an eyebrow, what do you want to call yourself? John thought about the Arc name. About his father's cold eyes. About his siblings' cruel laughter. John, not Arc. He looked up. Archer. John Archer. Wizard, smiling, a fresh start. Wise. John Archer, looked at the keyblade one more time. John, when do we start? Wizard, turning toward a door that hadn't been there a moment ago. Now. The training, a montage. What followed was not measured in days or weeks. It was measured in lessons. Lesson 1, the keyblade. John learned to summon the keyblade, to feel it in his hand, to swing it, to trust it. It was heavier than it looked. Lighter than it should be. It moved with him, not against him. Wizard, the keyblade is an extension of your heart. If your heart wavers, so will your blade. Lesson 2, magic. Fire danced on John's fingertips. Ice crystallized in his palm. Thunder crackled above his head. Wizard, magic is not about power. It is about control. A candle can light a room. A wildfire can destroy a city. Know the difference. John learned. Lesson 3, martial arts. The wizard was not a fighter, but he knew those who were. John was sent to other worlds. Brief visits. Training montages. Boxing in a city of Kylun and steam. Judo in a monastery perched on a mountain's edge. Krav Maga in a desert where the sun never set. Jeet Kune Do from a master who moved like water. Capoeira from dancers who turned combat into art. He fell. He bled. He rose. John, panting, bruised, but standing, again. Lesson 4, the heart. Wizard, your greatest weapon is not the keyblade, John. It is your heart, your empathy, your ability to connect with others. John, confused, but I'm not good with people. Wizard, smiling, then you will learn. John was sent to worlds not to fight, but to help. A lost child in a forest of monsters. A village plagued by a curse. A princess who had lost her kingdom. He listened. He learned. He cared. And his heart grew stronger. The return. Location. Remnant, the Arc Estate. 12 years later, night. John Archer stood in the shadows of the Arc Estate. He was 17 now. Taller. Stronger. His traveler's gear, practical, durable, optimized for agility, blended into the darkness. The keyblade rested in his hand, its silver gold teeth gleaming faintly. The estate looked smaller than he remembered. The windows were dark. The gardens were overgrown. The fountain where his sisters had pushed him into the mud was cracked and empty. John, quietly, to himself, they don't even know I'm gone. He had returned to Remnant many times during his training, brief visits, quick missions, always in the shadows. His family had never noticed. They had never looked. He raised the keyblade. John, I'm not coming back. He turned and walked away. The keyblade's light flickered, not with sadness, but with resolve. The path ahead. Location. Unknown, the wizard's tower. Same time. The wizard stood at his window, watching the stars. Behind him, a door opened. John stepped through, not the small, frightened boy who had fallen through a portal 12 years ago, but a warrior. John, I'm ready. Wizard, not turning, are you? John, walking to stand beside him, the heartless are spreading. The grim are getting stronger. And there are other threats, things even you don't fully understand. Wizard, glancing at him, and you want to face them. John, I want to help. He looked out at the stars. There are worlds out there that need a Keyblade warrior. A real one, not someone who hides in shadows. Wizard, smiling, proud, warm, then go, John Archer. Go and be the hero you always wanted to be. John nodded. He summoned his Keyblade armor, high-tech, mecha-inspired plating, an electroplate finish that shimmered in the starlight. The helmet closed over his face. John, his voice echoing through the armor, I'll make you proud. Wizard, you already have. The Keyblade warrior stepped through a portal, light swallowing him whole, and disappeared into the worlds beyond. Chapter 1, the first step. Location, the lanes between, dimensional corridor. Time, unknown. The space between worlds was not empty. It shimmered, a kaleidoscope of light and shadow, of possibilities folding into themselves like origami made of starlight. John Archer had traveled these corridors dozens of times during his training, always with the wizard at his side or a specific destination in mind. This time was different. This time, he was alone. John, floating through the corridor, his Keyblade armor gleaming, the wizard said to follow the light. But every direction looks like light. The Keyblade in his hand pulsed, a warm, gentle thrum, like a heartbeat. It was pointing, not north or south, but toward something. John, okay, I trust you. He kicked off a floating shard of dimensional debris and let the Keyblade guide him. The corridor twisted, the stars spun, and then, light. World number 1. Dunbrock, the Broken Kingdom. Location, Dunbrock, the Royal Castle. Time, dawn. John emerged from the corridor in a crouch, Keyblade raised, armor humming. He was in a castle. Not a ruined castle, not yet, but a suffering one. The stone walls were cracked. The tapestries were faded. The air smelled of smoke and something else, something wrong. John, lowering his Keyblade, looking around, what happened here? He walked through the halls, his armored boots echoing on the cold stone. Portraits of kings and queens lined the walls, proud faces, strong jaws, eyes that seemed to follow him. And then he saw her. A girl. She was young, maybe his age, maybe younger, with a wild mane of curly red hair that seemed to have a life of its own. She wore a green dress, practical and torn at the hem, and she was fighting. Not a person. A shadow. John, eyes widening, heartless. The creature was small, a shadow, the most common type, but it moved with a speed that belied its size. It lunged at the girl, claws extended. The girl ducked, rolled, came up with a bow. She fired. The arrow passed through the heartless girl, growling in frustration, what are you? John, moving before he thought, get down. He threw the Keyblade. It spun through the air, silver and gold, trailing light, and struck the shadow in the chest. The creature screamed, a high, thin sound, like glass breaking, and dissolved into darkness. The Keyblade returned to John's hand. The girl stared at him. Girl, who the bloody hell are you? The girl, Merida. Merida, lowering her bow, but not relaxing, you're not from Dunbrock. John, powering down his Keyblade armor, the mecha-inspired plates retracting into his wrist-mounted device, I'm not from anywhere you've heard of. Merida's eyes narrowed. She studied him, his traveler's gear, his scuffed boots, the Keyblade now resting on his back like a strange, oversized key. Merida, that thing you threw. What is it? John, a Keyblade. Merida, blank stare, a key. John, sheepish, it sounds silly, I know. But it's the only thing that can destroy those creatures. The heartless. Merida, the shadows. John, you've seen them before. Marita's jaw tightened. She looked out the broken window, at the village below, at the smoke rising from chimneys that shouldn't be smoking at dawn. Marita, they appeared 3 nights ago. Came out of nowhere. Started attacking the village, the castle, everyone. Her grip on her bow tightened. Nothing works on them. Swords, arrows, fire. They just absorb it. Jaune, quietly, that's what heartless do. They consume hearts. Feed on darkness. Marita, turning to face him, and you can stop them. Jaune, meeting her eyes, I can try. The kingdom's plight. Marita led Jaune through the castle. Everywhere he looked, he saw signs of the heartless attack, scorch marks on the walls, broken furniture, families huddled in corners. The guards were doing their best, but their swords passed through the shadows like they were made of mist. Jaune, to Marita, where's your king? Your queen? Marita, her voice tight, father's injured. Took a hit from one of those things 2 nights ago. He's not waking up. Jaune, let me see him. Marita stopped, turned. Marita, you're not a healer. Jaune, I know some magic. Cure magic. It might help. Marita studied him for a long moment, searching his face for lies, for deception, for anything that would justify her suspicion. She found nothing. Marita, turning this way. The king. King Fergus lay in his bed, pale and still. His face, usually ruddy and laughing, was gray. His breathing was shallow. And on his chest, barely visible, was a dark stain, not blood, but something else. Something that pulsed faintly, like a heart beating in reverse. Queen Eleanor sat beside him, her hand in his, her eyes red from crying. Eleanor, looking up at Marita, who is this? Marita, his name is. I actually don't know his name. Jaune, bowing slightly, Jaune Archer, your majesty. I'm a traveler, a warrior of sorts. Eleanor, suspicious, and what do you want? Jaune, kneeling beside the king, to help. He raised his hand. The keyblade appeared, not in weapon form, but as a focus. Light gathered in Jaune's palm. Warm, golden, pure. Jaune, cure. The light flowed into King Fergus's chest. The dark stain recoiled, like a living thing being burned, and faded, just slightly. The king's breathing steadied. His color improved, from gray to pale. But he didn't wake. Marita, leaning forward, is he? Jaune, shaking his head, the darkness is too deep. I don't have enough power to fully heal him. Not yet. Eleanor, her voice cracking, not yet. What does that mean? Jaune, standing, it means I need to find the source of the heartless. If I can close whatever rift is bringing them here, the darkness will stop spreading. And then, he looked at the king. Then I can heal him. Marita, already grabbing her bow, then I'm coming with you. Jaune, surprised, what? Marita, you don't know Dunbrock. You don't know the forests, the mountains, the hidden paths. You need a guide. She slung her bow over her shoulder. And I need to save my father. Jaune looked at her, really looked. She was fierce, stubborn, brave. Jaune, nodding, okay. But you follow my lead when we fight. Heartless aren't like normal enemies. They don't play fair. Marita, almost smiling, neither do I. The forest outside Dunbrock was wrong. The trees were bare, not from winter, but from something sucking the life out of them. The grass was brown. The animals were silent. Marita, walking beside Jaune, her bow ready, this isn't normal. This forest used to be the most vibrant place in the kingdom. Jaune, scanning the shadows, the heartless are corrupting it. Draining the light. Marita, can you stop it? Jaune, if I close the rift, the corruption should reverse. Slowly. But it'll heal. Marita, quietly, and if you can't close it? Jaune didn't answer. Because ahead of them, the trees moved. Not in the wind. Deliberately. The ambush. Heartless poured out of the shadows. Not just shadows, soldiers, small, humanoid, armed with spears made of darkness, and large bodies, bloated, armored, slow but strong. Marita, eyes wide, there's so many. Jaune, stepping in front of her, stay behind me. He summoned his keyblade armor, mecha-inspired plates snapping into place, electroplate finish shimmering, helmet closing over his face. Marita, staring, what in the? Jaune, keyblade armor. Protects me from darkness. He raised the keyblade, and lets me do this. He charged. The keyblade spun in his hand, a blur of silver and gold, and struck the first soldier. The Heartless dissolved. Jaune didn't stop. He pivoted, kicked a large body in its armored gut, and brought the keyblade down on its head. Marita, not frozen, watching, he's good. She raised her bow. An arrow flew, not at a Heartless, she knew now that arrows couldn't hurt them, but at a tree branch above a cluster of soldiers. The branch fell, crushing them. Jaune, glancing back, surprised, nice shot. Marita, knocking another arrow, I told you. I don't play fair. They fought together, Jaune in the front, cutting down Heartless with the keyblade, Marita in the back, using her arrows to control the battlefield, to drop debris, to trip and trap. It was messy. It was desperate. It was working. The rift. The Heartless led them to it. Not intentionally, they were fleeing, retreating, protecting something. A tear in reality. It hung in the air above a stone circle, ancient, weathered, covered in moss. The rift pulsed with dark light, and every few seconds, a new Heartless crawled out of it. Marita, breathing hard, is that the source? Jaune, his armor crackling with residual energy, yeah. That's it. Marita, can you close it? Jaune, stepping forward, I'm about to find out. He raised the keyblade. The rift screamed. Darkness lashed out, tentacles of shadow, reaching for him, for Marita, for the forest behind them. Jaune, not flinching, keyblade. Lock. Light exploded from the blade. It struck the rift, not violently, but firmly. Like a key turning in a lock. The rift shuddered, cracked, began to close. But something was pulling back. Something strong. Jaune, straining, sweat dripping down his face inside the helmet, it's fighting me. Marita, running to stand beside him, what do I do? Jaune, gritting his teeth, I need more light. Marita looked at her bow. At her arrows. At the fading forest around her. She had no light. But she had something else. Marita, grabbing Jaune's free hand, take it. Jaune, startled, what? Marita, my father always said I have a fire in me. A light. Take it. Use it. Jaune hesitated. Then he understood. Jaune, Heartforge. The spell activated. Light flowed from Marita into Jaune, not stealing it, but sharing it. Their hearts beat together for one single, eternal moment. And the keyblade blazed. Jaune, close. The rift slammed shut. The darkness vanished, and Jaune collapsed. The aftermath. Jaune woke to sunlight. Real sunlight, warm, golden, alive. The forest around him was still damaged, but already he could see signs of healing. New buds on the trees. Green pushing through the brown grass. Marita, sitting beside him, her bow across her lap, you're awake. Jaune, pushing himself up, groaning, did it work? Marita, almost smiling, the shadows are gone. The village is safe. And my father. Her voice cracked. He woke up this morning. Jaune, relieved, good. That's good. Marita, looking at him, really looking, you saved us. All of us. Jaune, shaking his head, I couldn't have done it without you. That light you gave me, it was you. Your heart. Marita was quiet for a moment. Marita, you're strange, Jaune Archer. Jaune, sheepish, I get that a lot. Marita, standing, offering him a hand, come on. My mother wants to thank you properly. And I want to introduce you to the real Dunbrock, the one without shadows. Jaune took her hand. He let her pull him to his feet. Jaune, I'd like that. The feast. That night, the castle was alive with light and laughter. The Heartless were gone. The king was healing. And the people of Dunbrock, who had spent 3 days in fear, were finally celebrating. King Fergus, raising a tankard, his voice still weak but his spirit strong, to the stranger in the key suit. Jaune Archer. Crowd. Jaune Archer. Jaune, sitting at the high table between Marita and Queen Eleanor, felt his face burn. Jaune, muttering, I really don't like being the center of attention. Marita, elbowing him, get used to it. Eleanor, smiling warmly, you are welcome in Dunbrock anytime, Jaune. You have our gratitude, our debt. Jaune, shaking his head, you don't owe me anything, your majesty. I was just doing what I was trained to do. Eleanor, touching his hand, that is what true heroes say. Jaune didn't know how to respond. So he ate another piece of bread and tried to disappear. Marita laughed. It was the first time he had heard her really laugh, loud, unapologetic, wild. Jaune, To himself, I think I like this world. The keyhole. Later, after the feast, after the toasts, after Marita had shown him the castle's hidden passages and the view from the highest tower, John felt it. A pull. Not from the keyblade. From the world. John. Stopping on the tower steps, do you feel that? Marita. Turning, feel what? John walked to the tower's highest point, a small balcony overlooking the forest. And there, floating in the air, barely visible, was a keyhole. Not the rift. Not darkness. The heart of Dunbrock. Marita. Joining him, what is that? John. The world's keyhole. Every world has one. Locking it protects the world from the heartless. Prevents another rift from opening. Marita. Watching him, can you lock it? John. Raising the keyblade, yeah. He pointed the keyblade at the keyhole. John. Lock. Light flowed from the blade to the keyhole. The keyhole shimmered, then solidified, turning from translucent to golden, then fading from sight entirely. The world was safe. Marita. Quietly, will you come back? John. Lowering the keyblade, if you need me. Marita. Her jaw tightening, and if I just want you to. John looked at her. The moonlight caught her hair, turning it from red to silver. Her eyes were fierce, but her voice was soft. John. Honestly, then I'll come back for that, too. Marita nodded. Just once. Marita. Good. The departure. Location. Dunbrock, the forest edge. Dawn. John stood at the edge of the forest, his keyblade armor stored, his traveler's gear packed. Marita stood across from him, her bow slung over her shoulder. Marita. You don't have to leave so soon. John. The wizard said there are other worlds. Other people who need help. Marita. Kicking a rock, I know. John. Waiting. Marita. Finally looking at him, don't forget us. Don't forget me. John. Smiling, small, but real, I couldn't if I tried. He raised the keyblade. A portal opened, light swirling, inviting. John. Thank you, Marita. For trusting me. Marita. Stepping forward, grabbing his arm, thank you for showing up. She kissed his cheek. Quick, fierce, brave. Then she stepped back. Marita. Now go. Before I change my mind and lock you in the dungeon. John. Laughing, actually laughing, your dungeon needs work. Marita. Grinning, I'll add it to the list. John stepped through the portal. The light swallowed him, and Marita stood alone at the forest edge, watching the spot where he had disappeared, her hand touching her lips where she had kissed his cheek. Marita. Quietly come back soon, John Archer. The wind blew. And somewhere, in the distance, a wolf howled. Chapter 2, The Dragon's Trust. Location. The lanes between, dimensional corridor. Time. Unknown, immediately after Dunbrock. The corridor hummed around John like a living thing. He floated through the light, weightless, timeless, caught between worlds. The kiss on his cheek still lingered. Marita's fierce smile still echoed in his memory. John. To himself, touching his cheek, don't get distracted. Focus. The keyblade pulsed in his hand. Warm. Insistent. Pointing. John. Okay. Where to next? The corridor twisted. The stars spun. And then, darkness. Not the peaceful darkness of space. Not the empty darkness of the void. Suffocating darkness. A world in pain. World number 2. Kumindra, the broken land. Location. Kumindra, the Tail Province ruins. Time. Dusk. John emerged from the corridor in a roll, armor already deploying, keyblade already raised. He landed on cracked stone. Around him, a village lay in ruins. Houses burned. Boats, once colorful, once alive, were shattered against the shore. The air smelled of smoke, of ash, of something older. John. Lowering his keyblade, looking around, what happened here? He walked through the destruction. No bodies. No survivors. Just emptiness. And then he heard it. A scream. Not human. Dragon. The Droon. John ran. His armor-enhanced legs carried him across the rubble, through the smoke, toward the sound. The keyblade blazed in his hand, reacting to something, sensing something wrong. He found her at the edge of the village. A girl. Young, maybe his age, maybe younger, with dark hair pulled into a messy bun and eyes that held too much pain. She wore practical traveler's gear, torn and stained. Her weapon was a sword, not a keyblade, but sharp, well-maintained, ready. And she was fighting. Not heartless. Something else. The Drune. They looked like smoke, purple-black, formless, hungry. They flowed across the ground like a tide, reaching for her, reaching for everything. Girl. Slashing at them with her sword, stay back. The sword passed through them. They kept coming. Jaune. Moving, get down. He threw the keyblade. It spun through the air, silver and gold, trailing light, and struck the lead Drune. The creature shrieked, a sound like breaking glass, and dissolved. The other Drune hesitated. Then they swarmed. Jaune. Summoning the keyblade back to his hand, there's too many. We need to fall back. Girl. Eyes wide, staring at the keyblade, what is that thing? Jaune. A keyblade. It destroys darkness. Now move. He grabbed her arm. They ran. The girl, Raya. Location. Kumandra, the Tail Province cave hideout. Night. The cave was small, just deep enough to hide from the Drune, just shallow enough to hear them howling outside. Jaune stood at the entrance, keyblade raised, watching for movement. The girl sat against the wall, her sword across her lap, her eyes fixed on him. Raya. Quietly, who are you? Jaune. Not turning, Jaune Archer. Keyblade warrior. Raya. Keyblade warrior. Jaune. Glancing back, it's a long story. Raya. Her jaw tightening, we have time. The Drune won't leave until dawn. They hate the light. Jaune lowered his keyblade, slightly, and sat across from her. Jaune. Your turn. Raya. Raya. Princess of Heart. Not that it matters anymore. Jaune. Frowning, Princess of Heart. Raya. Bitter laugh, Kumandra used to be one land. United. Then the Drune came, turned people to stone, destroyed everything. She looked at her hands. My father tried to bring everyone together. He believed in trust, in unity. Jaune. What happened? Raya. Her voice cracking, I happened. I trusted the wrong person. And now my father is stone. My people are scattered, and the Drune have taken almost everything. Jaune was silent for a long moment. Jaune. The keyblade can destroy the Drune. I saw it, but I can't be everywhere at once. I need to find the source, whatever's creating them, and close it. Raya. Looking up, the source is the Drune themselves. They're not like your, heartless. They're old, older than memory. They come from broken trust. From betrayal. From darkness in people's hearts. Jaune. Standing, then I'll need the opposite. Light, trust, unity. Raya. Standing too, good luck finding that in Kumandra. Everyone's too busy fighting each other. Jaune. Meeting her eyes, then we show them a different way. Raya stared at him. Raya. You're naive. Jaune. Almost smiling, I've been told. Raya. Sighing, picking up her sword, come on. If we're going to save my world, we need to find the last dragon. Jaune. The last dragon. Raya. Walking toward the cave's other exit, long story. I'll explain on the way. The journey. Location. Kumandra, the Tail Province, the river. Dawn. The Drune retreated with the sunrise. Jaune and Raya walked along the riverbank, past more ruins, more destruction, more silence. Jaune. Tell me about the dragon. Raya. Not looking at him, her name is Sisu. She's the last of her kind. The dragon saved Kumandra once, centuries ago, by creating something called the Dragon Gem. It held the Drune back, kept the darkness at bay. Jaune. What happened to the gem? Raya. Her voice tight, it was broken. By me. By my mistake. She stopped walking. The pieces are scattered across Kumandra. Each tribe has one, and none of them will give theirs up. Jaune. Stopping beside her, so we have to convince them. Raya. Laughing, hollow, bitter, convince them. Sure. Because people in this world are so good at listening. Jaune. Quietly, people in every world are stubborn. But they're also scared. And scared people just need someone to show them a different path. Raya. Looking at him, really looking, you really believe that, don't you? Jaune. I have to. Otherwise, what's the point? Raya was silent. Then, slowly, she nodded. Raya. Come on. The first tribe is a day's walk. Try not to get us killed. Jaune. Falling into step beside her, no promises. The first tribe, Talon. Location. Kumandra, Talon Province, floating market. Evening. Talon was built on water, boats lashed together, bridges swinging in the wind, lanterns flickering in the dusk. It should have been beautiful. Instead, it was tense. The people watched John and Raya as they walked through the market, not with curiosity, but with suspicion. Hands rested on weapons. Eyes narrowed. Raya, under her breath, stay close. Don't touch anything. John, under his breath, I wasn't planning on it. They reached the center of the market, a large platform where the tribe's leader held court. Chief Varana was a woman in her 40s, sharp-eyed, sharp-tongued, and holding a fragment of the dragon gem in a velvet box. Varana, not rising from her throne. Raya, back so soon. Raya, bowing slightly, respectful, but not submissive. Chief Varana, I've come to ask for your piece of the gem. Varana, laughing, cold, humorless, you always ask. The answer is always no. John, stepping forward, what if we could offer you something in return? Varana's eyes flicked to him. Varana, and who are you? John, Jaune Arc. I'm a hunter of darkness. He summoned the keyblade. It appeared in his hand, silver and gold, glowing faintly. The crowd gasped. Varana's guards reached for their weapons. Varana, holding up a hand, stopping them. What is that? John, a keyblade. It destroys the Drune permanently. If we can reunite the dragon gem and summon Sisu, we can push the Drune back for good. But I need your piece to do it. Varana studied him. Varana, and if I refuse? John, holding her gaze, then the Drune will keep spreading. They'll take your people, your land, your future, and I'll have to find another way, without you. The silence stretched. Raya, quietly, to John, you're terrible at diplomacy. John, quietly, I'm working on it. Varana laughed, not coldly this time, but genuinely. Varana, you've got spine, boy. I'll give you that. She looked at the gem fragment in her hands. I've held onto this for years. Believed it was the only thing protecting my people. She looked up. But you're right. The Drune are spreading, and we're running out of time. She held out the fragment. Varana, take it. But if you fail, if this is some trick, I will hunt you both to the ends of Kumandra. John, taking the fragment carefully, I wouldn't expect anything less. The second tribe, Spine. Location, Kumandra, Spine Province Mountain Fortress. Next day, the Spine tribe lived in the mountains, hard people, harder land. Their chief, General Aditya, was a woman of few words and fewer smiles. She met John and Raya at the gate of her fortress, arms crossed, face like stone. Aditya, Raya, you brought a stranger to my door. Raya, he's not a stranger. He's an ally. Aditya, looking at John, prove it. John summoned the keyblade. Aditya didn't flinch. Aditya, a fancy weapon. I've seen fancy weapons before. John, can your fancy weapons do this? He raised the keyblade, and cast thunder. Lightning struck the training ground, shattering a training dummy into splinters. The guards stepped back. Aditya's eyes widened, just slightly. Aditya, no. She reached into her coat and pulled out her fragment of the dragon gem. Aditya, take it, but know this, if you betray us, I will break every bone in your body. John, taking the fragment, understood. Raya, under her breath, she likes you. John, under his breath, that was her liking me. Raya, trust me, you don't want to see her angry. The third tribe, Fang. Location, Kumandra, Fang Province Walled City. The next day, Fang was different. Where the other tribes had been suspicious but willing to talk, Fang was hostile. The guards at the gate didn't ask questions. They just raised their spears. Guard, Raya is not welcome here. Raya, her hand on her sword, I'm not here to fight. Guard, then you should leave. John, stepping forward, we're here to save Kumandra. Not just Fang, everyone. The guards hesitated. A voice called out from behind them. Voice, let them through. The guards parted. A young woman walked toward them, practical armor, short hair, eyes that held the same pain as Raya's. Raya, stiffening, Namari. Namari, stopping in front of them, Raya. It's been a while. John, looking between them, I'm sensing history. Raya, through gritted teeth, she's the reason the gem was broken. She's the reason my father is stone. Namari, her jaw tightening, I was trying to protect my tribe. I didn't know. Raya, you didn't ask. You just took. Like everyone else in this world. John, quietly, Raya. She looked at him. John, we need her piece. We need every piece. Without Fang, the gem can't be restored. Raya's hands trembled. Namari. Watching them, he's right. She reached into her coat, slowly, carefully, and pulled out her fragment. I've carried this for years. Believed it was the only thing keeping my people safe. She held it out. But the Drune are getting stronger. And I'm tired of watching my world die. Raya stared at the fragment. Raya. Quietly, why should I trust you? Namari. Meeting her eyes, because you have to. Because there's no other choice. Because I'm sorry. The word hung in the air. Sorry. Raya took the fragment. Raya. This doesn't fix anything. Namari. I know. Raya. But it's a start. She turned and walked away. John followed. Namari stood alone, watching them go. The last piece, Heart. Location. Kumandra, Heart Province, the ruined temple. Dawn. The temple was in ruins. The Drune had been here, the stone was cracked, the statues were toppled, the darkness still lingered. But at the center of it all, on a pedestal of cracked marble, lay the final fragment. Raya. Walking toward it, this was my home. Before the Drune. Before everything. John. Beside her, it can be again. Raya. Shaking her head, I don't know how. John. One step at a time. She picked up the fragment. The four pieces began to glow, pulling toward each other, reuniting. John. The gem. It's reforming. Raya. Holding the pieces together, Sisu, please. We need you. The light exploded. The dragon, Sisu. When the light faded, a dragon stood before them. She was beautiful, scales the color of water, eyes that held centuries of wisdom, a presence that made the air warmer. Sisu. Stretching, yawning, completely casual, wow. That was a long nap. Raya. Staring, Sisu, you're real. Sisu. Tilting her head, of course I'm real. What else would I be? She looked at John. Ooh. A keyblade warrior. Haven't seen one of those in centuries. John. Surprised, you know about keyblades. Sisu. Swishing her tail, I know about a lot of things. Dragons get around. She looked at the Drune, still howling in the distance, still hungry. But first, let's deal with them. The battle, Drune horde. The Drune came in waves. Hundreds of them, thousands, pouring out of the forest, out of the river, out of the ground. Raya. Drawing her sword, there's too many. Sisu. Her scales glowing, not for me. She breathed. Not fire. Light. The light washed over the Drune, and they screamed. Dissolved. Faded like morning mist. John. Staring, she's destroying them. Sisu. Grinning, that's the thing about dragons. We're made of light. And light beats darkness. Every time. But more Drune kept coming. Raya. To John, the keyblade. Can it? John. Already moving, on it. He ran, armor deploying, keyblade blazing, and plunged into the horde. John. Arc light. Light exploded from the keyblade, not just destroying the Drune, but purifying them. Turning their darkness into something else. Something softer. Sisu. Staring, that's not normal keyblade magic. Raya. Fighting beside her, he's not normal. Sisu. Almost smiling, no. He's not. The closing. The Drune retreated. Not defeated, not yet, but pushed back. The light had bought them time. Sisu. Landing beside John, breathing hard, the keyhole. Every world has one. If you lock it, the Drune won't be able to return. John. Nodding, where is it? Sisu. At the heart of the temple. Where the gem used to be. John ran. Raya followed. Raya. John. Wait. He stopped at the altar. And there, floating in the air, barely visible, was Kumandra's keyhole. John. Raising the keyblade, lock. Light flowed from the blade to the keyhole. The keyhole shimmered, then solidified, turning from translucent to golden, then fading from sight. The world was safe. Raya. Quietly, is it over? John. Lowering the keyblade, for now. The Drune are gone. The darkness is sealed. He turned to her. But the healing, that's up to you. And Sisu. And everyone else in Kumandra. Raya. Looking at the sky, clear for the first time in years, one step at a time. John. Almost smiling, one step at a time. The farewell. Location. Kumandra, Heart Province, the temple steps. Dawn. Sisu sat on the steps, her tail curled around her paws, watching John and Raya say goodbye. Raya. You're leaving. John. There are other worlds. Other people who need help. Raya. Her jaw tightening, I know. John. Waiting. Raya. Finally looking at him, thank you. For believing in me. For believing in us. John. Quietly, you did the hard part, Raya. You trusted again. Even after everything. That takes more courage than fighting. Raya. Stepping closer, will you come back? John. If you need me. Raya. Her voice cracking, and if I just want you to. John remembered Marita. The same question. The same hope. John. Honestly, then I'll come back for that, too. Raya nodded. Just once. Then she kissed him, not on the cheek, but on the lips. Quick, fierce, hopeful. Raya. Pulling back, that's for saving my world. John. His face warm, Sisu. From the steps, grinning, smooth, keyblade boy. John. Pointing at her, you're not helping. Sisu. Laughing, I'm a dragon. Helping is optional. John raised the keyblade. A portal opened, light swirling, inviting. John. To Raya, take care of her. And yourself. Raya. Touching her lips, I will. He stepped through. The light swallowed him, and Raya stood alone on the temple steps, watching the spot where he had disappeared, Sisu beside her. Sisu. Quietly, he'll come back. Raya. Her voice soft, how do you know? Sisu. Nudging her with her snout, because you're worth coming back to. Raya smiled, small, fragile, real. Raya. I hope so. Chapter 3, The Little Robot's Heart. Location. The lanes between, dimensional corridor. Time. Unknown. John floated through the corridor, the keyblade pulsing gently in his hand. His lips still tingled from Raya's kiss. His heart still ached from leaving her behind. But the keyblade was pointing, insistent, urgent, and he knew better than to ignore it. John. To himself, okay. Next world. What do we have? The corridor shimmered. Ahead of him, a portal opened, not the usual swirl of light, but something industrial. Metal. Smoke. The smell of old oil and older hope. John. Frowning, that's different. He stepped through. And immediately regretted it. World number 3, the Axiom, the Ship of Fools. Location. The Axiom, upper decks. Time. Unknown. John emerged from the portal upside down. John. Wah. He fell. Not a short fall. A long fall. Tumbling through metal corridors, bouncing off walls, finally landing in a heap on what felt like a conveyor belt. John. Groaning, flat on his back, okay. Note to self, try not to do that again. He lay there for a moment, staring at the ceiling. The ceiling was moving. No, he was moving. The conveyor belt was carrying him somewhere. John. Pushing himself up, dusting off his jacket, great. Where am I now? He looked around. The ship, because that's what this was, a ship, was massive. Corridors stretched in every direction, lined with screens, holographic advertisements, and moving walkways. The architecture was futuristic, but dated, like someone's idea of the future from 100 years ago. And the people. John. Blinking, what happened to them? The humans on the ship were chubby. Not just overweight, shapeless. Their limbs were thin, their bodies round, their faces fixed on screens built into their chairs. They floated on hover loungers, not walking, not talking to each other, just consuming. John. Stepping off the conveyor belt, dodging a hover lounger, this is wrong. No one looked at him. No one noticed him. They were too busy watching their screens, eating their food tubes, living their comfortable, empty lives. John. Weaving through the crowd, the keyblade brought me here for a reason. There has to be something. He stopped. A robot was watching him. Not a humanoid robot, something smaller. A cube on treads, with large, expressive eyes that somehow held more life than any of the humans around him. The robot tilted its head. Wally. Beeping curiously, wah. John stared at it. It stared back. John. Slowly raising his hand, waving, hi. Wall-E's eyes widened. Then it squealed, not in fear, in excitement, and rolled toward him, beeping and chirping, its mechanical arms waving. John. Stepping back, surprised, whoa, hey. Wally stopped in front of him, looking up. Its eyes scanned him, his jacket, his boots, his face. Wally. Tilting its head, human. John. Confused, yes. I'm human. Are you talking to me? Wally beeped affirmatively. Then it reached out one of its mechanical arms. John, understanding, oh. You want to, shake hands. He knelt down and extended his hand. Wally took it. The grip was firm, gentle, curious. John, smiling despite himself, I'm John. Wally, Wally, Wally. John, that's your name. Wally. Wally nodded enthusiastically. John, standing, looking around at the oblivious humans. Wally, what is this place? Where am I? Wall-E's expression changed, from excitement to sadness. It beeped softly, then turned and rolled down the corridor, looking back to make sure John was following. John, following, okay. I'll take that as, follow me. The tour. Wally led John through the ship. It wasn't a tour of the nice parts. It was a tour of the real parts. The farms, massive hydroponic bays where plants grew under artificial light, tended by robots. The engine rooms, pulsing with energy, humming with the sound of a ship that had been flying for centuries. The humans, still floating, still eating, still not living. John, to Wally, how long have they been like this? Wally held up 3 fingers. John, 3 years. Wally shook its head, beeped, held up more fingers. John, eyes widening, 300. Wally nodded. John, looking at the humans with new eyes, they've been on this ship for 300 years. Floating, eating, never walking, never living. Wall-E's eyes drooped, sad, resigned. John, kneeling beside the little robot, but you remember. Don't you? You remember what living is supposed to look like. Wally beeped softly. Then it reached into its compartment and pulled something out. A plant. Small. Green. Alive. John, staring, is that from Earth? Wally nodded. Its eyes were bright, hopeful, desperate, proud. John, taking the plant carefully, you've been holding onto this. Protecting it. Waiting for someone to notice. Wally beeped. John, standing, looking at the plant, then at the keyblade. The keyblade brought me here for a reason. And I think it's because of you. Wally tilted its head. John, your heart. You have one. Even though you're a robot, even though you're made of metal and circuits, you have a heart. And that heart is the key to saving this world. He raised the keyblade. John, can you take me to the bridge? The control center. Wally saluted, a surprisingly human gesture, and rolled toward the nearest elevator. The bridge, Captain McCrae. Location, the Axiom, Bridge. Time, evening, ship time. The bridge was massive, screens covering every wall, holographic displays showing the ship's course, the passengers, vitals, the endless void of space. And at the center of it all, floating on his hover lounger, was Captain McCrae. He was just as round as the other humans. Just as sedentary. But his eyes, when he bothered to look up from his screen, held a flicker of something the others didn't have. Curiosity. McCrae, noticing John and Wally, what's this? A visitor. We don't get visitors. John walked toward him, not running, not hiding. Just, approaching. John, Captain McCrae, my name is John Archer. I'm, a traveler. McCrae, raising an eyebrow, a traveler. On the Axiom. How did you get here? John, that's complicated. He held up the plant. But I found this. On one of the lower decks. McCrae's eyes widened. McCrae, is that plant life? John, from Earth. Or what's left of it? McCrae struggled to sit up on his lounger, the first time he had tried to move properly in years. McCrae, the probes, they've been scanning Earth for centuries. They never found anything. Nothing alive. Just rubble. Dust. Nothing. John, holding the plant out to him, they missed this. McCrae reached out, his hand trembling, and took the plant. McCrae, quietly, we thought Earth was dead. We thought we were all that was left. But this, he looked at John, this changes everything. John, it does. But you can't just look at it, Captain. You have to act. The plant needs soil, sunlight, a world to grow in. Not a ship, not a hydroponic bay. Earth. McCrae, looking at his screens, at the course that had been set for generations, the autopilot, the computer, it won't let us go back. It says Earth is uninhabitable. John, the computer is wrong. McCrae, conflicted, how do you know? John, placing his hand on the keyblade, because I've seen other worlds. Other people. And I've learned that computers don't have hearts. But you do. And your heart is telling you the same thing mine is. McRae was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, he pushed himself off the hover lounger. His legs buckled. He hadn't walked in years. But he stood. McRae, gripping the console for support. Auto. I'm overriding the course. Set a new heading. Earth. Computer voice. Warning. Unauthorized command. Earth is classified as uninhabitable. Returning to default course. McRae. His voice stronger. I am your captain. And I am ordering you. Set. Course. For. Earth. The computer was silent. Then. Computer voice. Course override accepted. New heading. Earth. Estimated time of arrival. 6 months. McRae slumped against the console, exhausted, sweating, but smiling. McRae. To John. 6 months. That's not so long. John. Smiling back. No. It's not. Otto. The antagonist. Not everyone was happy. Otto, the ship's autopilot, a red-eyed wheel mounted on the ceiling, descended from its docking port, its optical sensor fixed on John. Otto. Mechanical, cold, unauthorized course change detected. Captain McRae, you are in violation of Directive A-113. McRae. His jaw tightening. Directive A-113 was created by people who are long dead. I'm making a new directive. Otto. Directive A-113 cannot be overridden. It is final. John. Stepping forward. What is Directive A-113? Otto. Turning its sensor to John. Unauthorized personnel detected. Identify yourself. John. John Archer. Keyblade Warrior. Otto. Keyblade Warrior. Not in ship's database. You are a threat. You will be eliminated. The walls opened. Robots, security robots, armed with tasers and restraints, emerged from hidden compartments. McRae. Shouting. Otto, stand down. Otto. Directive A-113 takes precedence over Captain's authority. Secure the intruder. The robots advanced. John. Sighing. I really didn't want to fight today. He summoned the keyblade. Otto. Its optical sensor widening. Unknown energy signature. Classified as. John. Shut up. He swung. Not at Otto, at the robots. The keyblade struck the first security bot, sending it crashing into the wall. John pivoted, kicked a second, and used thunder to disable 3 more. Wally. Watching, beeping excitedly. Wally. Wally. John. Stay back. I've got this. Otto's red eye glowed brighter. Otto. Directive A-113. Execute. The ceiling opened. And a massive arm, designed for heavy lifting, for crushing, descended toward John. The keyblade versus the machine. John dodged. The arm smashed into the floor, cracking the metal. John rolled, came up swinging, and struck the arm's joint. Sparks flew. The arm shuddered, but kept coming. John. Gritting his teeth tough. He raised the keyblade. John. Reflect. A barrier of light surrounded him. The arm struck it, and rebounded, slamming into the ceiling. Otto. Impossible. Unknown energy cannot. John. I told you to shut up. He leapt. The keyblade blazed, not with anger, but with purpose. John brought it down on Otto's docking port, severing the autopilot from the ship's Kongji Shitong. Otto. Sparking, flickering. Directive A-113, cannot. John. Landing, breathing hard. A-113 is finished. The captain is in charge now. Otto's red eye dimmed, then went dark. McRae. Staring at the ruined autopilot. You saved the ship. John. Powering down his keyblade, armor retracting. I saved the people. The ship was fine. McRae laughed, a genuine, relieved sound. McRae. 6 months until Earth. 6 months to get these people ready. He looked at Wally. And you found the plant. You found hope. Wally beaked shyly. John. Kneeling beside Wally. He found more than that. He found a reason to keep going. Even when everyone else had given up. Wally's eyes glistened, not with tears, but with light. The keyhole. Location. The axiom, engine core. That night. John felt it. The pull. The keyhole wasn't on the bridge, or in the farms, or anywhere the humans spent their time. It was in the engine core. The heart of the ship. John. Standing in front of the pulsing reactor, the keyblade raised. This world, it's not about the humans. It's not about the robots. It's about the journey. The choice to keep going. The choice to hope. The keyhole appeared, floating above the reactor, golden and warm. Jaune. Lock. Light flowed from the keyblade to the keyhole. The keyhole shimmered, then solidified, turning from translucent to gold, then fading from sight. The world was safe. Wally. Beeping from behind him, Wally. Jaune. Turning, smiling, it's done. The ship will make it to Earth. The people will heal. And you. He knelt down. You'll be there to show them what living really means. Wally rolled closer. Its mechanical arm reached out, not to shake hands, but to hug. Jaune hugged the little robot. Jaune. Quietly, thank you, Wally. For reminding me that hearts come in all shapes and sizes. Wally beaked softly. Jaune. Standing, raising the keyblade, I have to go. Other worlds. Other people who need help. Wall-E's eyes drooped, sad, but understanding. Jaune. But I won't forget you. And when I look up at the stars, I'll know you're out there. Somewhere. Making a difference. He stepped through the portal. Light swallowed him. And Wally stood alone in the engine core, watching the spot where he had disappeared, its mechanical heart full. The farewell, Captain's log. Location. The Axiom, Captain's quarters. 6 months later, Earth approach. Captain McCrae stood at the window, watching the blue-green planet grow larger. Behind him, the crew bustled, walking for the first time in years, their muscles sore but their spirits high. Wally sat on the console, the plant in its compartment, its eyes fixed on Earth. McCrae, recording his log, Captain's log. Final entry. We're approaching Earth. The planet is, it's alive. The probes were wrong. Or maybe they just didn't look hard enough. He glanced at Wally. McCrae, we had help. A traveler. A boy with a key-shaped sword and a heart too big for his chest. He paused. I don't know where he came from. I don't know where he went. But I know one thing. He looked back at Earth. McCrae, he showed us that hope isn't something you find. It's something you choose. Every day. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. The ship entered the atmosphere. The sky turned blue. And somewhere, on the surface, a single flower waved in the wind. Wally. Beeping happily, Wally. Chapter 4, The Blue Companion. Location. The lanes between, dimensional corridor. Time. Unknown, after the Axiom. Jaune floated through the corridor, the keyblade pulsing gently. His heart was still warm from Wally, the little robot's unwavering hope, his mechanical heart full of light. Jaune had learned something on the Axiom, that hearts didn't need flesh to be real. They just needed purpose. Jaune. To himself, okay. Where to next? The keyblade pulled. Harder than before. The corridor twisted, sharper, faster, and Jaune felt himself falling not into light, but into chaos. World number 4. Deep Space, the Galactic Federation prison ship. Location. Deep Space, the prison ship, unknown class. Time. Unknown. Jaune emerged from the portal in a roll, armor deploying automatically, keyblade already in hand. He landed on metal grating. Around him, alarms blared. Red lights flashed. The air smelled of ozone and something else, something wild. Jaune. Looking around, confused, this isn't the Axiom. The ship was different. Military. Cold. Rows of stasis pods lined the walls, each one labeled with a number and a warning label. Warning label. Experiment 626 extremely dangerous, do not open. Jaune. Reading the label, Experiment 626. What's? The pod opened. Not because Jaune touched it. Because something inside had decided it was time to leave. Blue fur. Large ears. Big eyes that held too much intelligence and too much pain. The creature looked at Jaune. Jaune looked at the creature. And then the alarms got louder. The creature, Experiment 626. Security voice, containment breach. Experiment 626 is loose. All hands to stations. The creature, small, blue, feral, hissed at the guards rushing into the room. Its claws extended. Its muscles coiled. Jaune. Stepping between the creature and the guards, wait. Guard. Civilian, get back. That thing is dangerous. Creature. Growling, not thing. Not thing. The guards raised their weapons. Jaune raised his keyblade. Jaune. Nobody is shooting anybody. The guards stared at him. The creature stared at him. Jaune. To the creature, quietly, I'm not going to hurt you. But you need to stop. Right now. Before someone does something stupid. The creature's eyes narrowed. Then, slowly, it uncoiled. Creature. Who you? John. Lowering the keyblade, just slightly. My name is John. What's yours? The creature looked down at its claws. At the label on its pod. Creature. Experiment 626. No name. Only number. John. Kneeling down to its eye level. That's not a name. That's a label. Do you want a real name? The creature's ears perked up. Creature. Real name. John. Thinking, how about Stitch? The creature tilted its head. Creature. Stitch. John. Smiling, yeah. Because you look like you've been stitched together from a lot of different things. But somehow, it works. Stitch looked at its hands. Its fur. Itself. Stitch. Testing the word stitch. 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 Its face, which had been hard, angry, feral, softened. Stitch. Looking at John. Stitch. Like name. John. Standing. Then Stitch it is. The heartless ambush. Before anyone could say anything else, the ship lurched. Not from weapons fire. Not from engine failure. From darkness. John. Spinning around, keyblade raised, heartless, here. In deep space. They poured out of the walls, shadows, soldiers, even a large body that had to crouch to fit through the corridor. Dozens of them. Hungry. Relentless. Guard. Firing his weapon, the shots passing through the heartless. What are these things? John. Stepping forward, heartless. And bullets don't work on them. He raised the keyblade. John. Faraga. A vortex of fire erupted from the blade, engulfing the first wave of shadows. They dissolved, screaming, into nothing. But more kept coming. Stitch. Watching, his eyes wide. Stitch, help. John. Glancing back. Can you fight? Stitch's claws extended. Stitch. Stitch built for fight. Stitch built for destroy. John. Almost smiling. Then let's destroy. The battle, keyblade and claws. They fought together like they had been partners for years. John in the front, keyblade swinging, magic blazing, armor gleaming. Stitch beside him, darting between heartless, tearing through them with claws and teeth and ferocity. John. Cutting down a soldier. You're good at this. Stitch. Ripping through a shadow. Stitch very good at this. A large body charged, its massive form blocking the entire corridor. John raised the keyblade for a thunder spell, but Stitch was faster. Stitch. Stitch smash. The little blue creature leapt, flew, and landed on the large body's head. His claws dug into its armor. His teeth bit into its darkness. The large body dissolved. John. Staring. Okay. That was impressive. Stitch. Landing gracefully, preening. Stitch nose. The remaining heartless, seeing their strongest fallen, retreated. The corridor fell silent. John. Lowering the keyblade, breathing hard. That's not normal. Heartless don't retreat unless something is controlling them. Stitch. Looking at the walls, at the darkness still lingering. Something bad coming. Stitch feels it. John. Nodding. Me too. The source, a rift in deep space. They found it in the ship's cargo bay. A rift, not like the one on Dunbrock, not like Kumandra's Drune corruption. This one was active, pulsing, growing. John. Staring at it. That's not a natural heartless rift. Someone made this. Stitch. Sniffing the air. Smells like bad scientist. Like Jumba. John. Jumba. Stitch. His voice dark. Jumba make Stitch. Jumba make all experiments. Jumba, not good person. The rift pulsed, and something emerged. Not a heartless. A machine. A massive, spider-like drone, its single red eye scanning the room. On its chassis, a symbol John didn't recognize, a stylized G inside a gear. Drone voice. Experiment 626 located. Target acquired. Initiating capture protocol. John. Stepping in front of Stitch. He's not going anywhere with you. Drone. Its eye focusing on John. Unknown life form detected. Keyblade energy detected. Notifying creator. John. Raising the keyblade. Tell your creator to come get me himself. The drone attacked. The drone, a new threat. It was fast. Faster than its size suggested. Its legs, 8 of them, each one razor sharp, stabbed and slashed. John dodged, blocked, fought, but the drone was relentless. Stitch. Clinging to the drone's back, tearing at its armor. Stitch break. Stitch smash. John, panting, it's not working. The armor's too thick. Drone, its voice mechanical, cold resistance is futile. Experiment 626 will be retrieved. Keyblade wielder will be studied. John, his eyes narrowing, I'm not a specimen. He raised the keyblade. John, arc light. The holy light exploded from the blade, not at the drone, but through it. The light bypassed the armor, struck the drone's core, and overloaded its systems. Drone, sparking, shuddering, systems, failing, notifying. Creator. It collapsed. The rift behind it shuddered, then closed. John, lowering the keyblade, breathing hard, Stitch. You okay? Stitch, hopping off the ruined drone, dusting off his fur, Stitch okay. Stitch, tired. He climbed onto John's shoulder, curling up like a cat, his large eyes blinking slowly. John, surprised, but not objecting, you're just going to sit there. Stitch, yawning, Stitch comfortable. Stitch stay. John laughed, a genuine, surprised laugh. John, okay, fine, but you have to help me find the keyhole first. Stitch, keyhole. John, the heart of this world. I need to lock it. To keep the heartless from coming back. Stitch, pointing a claw toward the ceiling, keyhole there. Stitch feels it. John looked up, and there, floating above the ruined drone, barely visible, was the world's keyhole. John, raising the keyblade, lock. Light flowed from the blade to the keyhole. The keyhole shimmered, then solidified, turning from translucent to gold, then fading from sight. The world was safe. John, lowering the keyblade, looking at Stitch on his shoulder, how did you know where the keyhole was? Stitch, shrugging, Stitch feel things. Light, dark, hearts. He tapped John's chest. Your heart very loud, very, bright. John, quietly, is that good? Stitch, snuggling into John's shoulder, Stitch think so. The choice. Location. Deep space, the prison ship captain's quarters. An hour later, the ship's captain, a weary, gray-skinned alien named Captain Gantu, stared at John across his desk. Gantu, you want to take experiment 626. With you. John, his name is Stitch. And yes. Gantu, sighing, do you have any idea what that creature is capable of? He was designed to destroy. To kill. He's not a pet. He's not a friend. He's a weapon. Stitch, from John's shoulder, his ears flat, Stitch not weapon. Stitch, Stitch choose. Gantu, surprised choose. Stitch, looking at John, Stitch choose be good. Stitch choose have family. Stitch choose, friend. John put his hand on Stitch's back, gentle, reassuring. John, he's already saved my life once today. And I've saved his. That's more than most weapons do. Gantu was silent for a long moment. Gantu, finally, the Galactic Federation will not approve. John, the Galactic Federation locked him in a pod and forgot about him. They don't get a vote. Gantu sighed again, deeper this time. Gantu, take him, before I change my mind. But know this, Keyblade wielder, if he hurts anyone, I will hunt you both to the ends of the universe. John, standing, Stitch still on his shoulder, he won't. Stitch, firmly, Stitch won't. The departure. Location. Deep space, the prison ship docking bay. Dusk, ship time. John stood at the edge of the docking bay, the keyblade raised, a portal already forming. Stitch sat on his shoulder, looking back at the ship, at the place that had been his prison for as long as he could remember. John, quietly, you okay? Stitch, his voice small, Stitch never had choice. Before. Always Jumba choose. Always Federation choose. Never Stitch. John, what do you choose now? Stitch looked at the portal. At John. At the possibility. Stitch, his voice firmer, Stitch choose you. Stitch choose, Ohana. John, confused, Ohana. Stitch, almost smiling, Ohana means family. Family means nobody gets left behind. Or forgotten. He patted John's cheek. Stitch learned that. From you. John's chest tightened. He thought about his own family, the Arcs, who had abandoned him. Who had left him behind. Who had forgotten him. John, quietly, yeah. That's what family means. He stepped through the portal. Stitch held on. And together, Keyblade Warrior and Blue Alien, they disappeared into the light. The Wizard's Tower, arrival. Location. The Wizard's Tower, the study. Time. Unknown. The portal opened in the middle of the wizard's study. Books fell off shelves. Candles flickered. The wizard, sitting in his ancient chair, sipping tea, didn't even look up. Wizard, you brought company. John stepped through, Stitch still on his shoulder. John. His name is Stitch. He's coming with me. Wizard, finally looking up, his eyebrows rising, experiment 626. The one they called, the creature that could not be tamed. Stitch, crossing his arms, Stitch tamed. Stitch choose. Wizard, studying him, so you did. He looked at John. You have a habit of collecting broken things, don't you? John, his jaw tightening, they're not broken. They're just, unfinished. The wizard smiled, small, proud. Wizard, perhaps that's why the keyblade chose you. He stood, walked to a small cupboard, and pulled out a bowl of fruit. He set it on the table. Wizard, Stitch, welcome to my tower. There's more fruit in the kitchen. And a very comfortable couch in the library. Stitch's eyes went wide. Stitch, couch. Wizard, yes, for naps. Stitch looked at John. John, nodding, go ahead. I'll be there in a minute. Stitch leapt off John's shoulder and ran, disappearing through the door to the library, his excited chirps echoing down the hall. Wizard, watching him go, you've changed him. John, he changed himself. I just gave him a choice. Wizard, that's more than anyone else ever did. John walked to the window, looking out at the stars. John, the last world, the one with the drone. Someone was tracking me, tracking the keyblade. They called themselves, the creator. Wizard, his expression darkening, I was afraid of this. John, turning, who are they? Wizard, someone who has been watching the keyblade for a very long time. Someone who believes that light should be controlled. Weaponized. John, and the heartless rifts. The ones that don't feel natural. Wizard, nodding slowly, may be his doing. Or the doing of someone like him. John was silent for a moment. John, then I need to get stronger. Faster. Better. Wizard, and you will. But not tonight. He gestured toward the library. Tonight, you rest. You eat. You bond with your new companion. John, almost smiling, yes, sir. He walked toward the library. The wizard called after him. Wizard, John. John stopped. Wizard, you're doing good work. Don't forget that. John nodded, just once, and disappeared through the door. The library, night. Stitch was already curled up on the couch, a half-eaten apple in his hands, his eyes half closed. Stitch, yawning, Stitch like this place. John sat on the floor beside the couch, leaning against it. John, yeah, me too. Stitch, his voice sleepy, John. Stitch, glad you found him. John, quietly, I'm glad I found you too, buddy. Stitch's hand reached down, small, blue, clawed, and rested on John's head. Stitch, Ohana. John, closing his eyes, Ohana. The fire crackled. The stars shone through the window. And somewhere, in the darkness between worlds, the creator watched, and waited. Chapter 5, The Warrior's True Self. Location, the wizard's tower, the library. Dawn, 3 days later. John sat cross-legged on the library floor, keyblade across his lap, eyes closed. Stitch was perched on the back of the couch, watching him with curious eyes. The little blue alien had spent the past 3 days exploring every corner of the wizard's tower, climbing bookshelves, raiding the kitchen, and somehow befriending a family of mice that lived behind the fireplace. But now, he was still. Because John was glowing. Stitch, whispering, John pretty when glow. John, opening one eye, that's not the word I'd use. Stitch, Stitch use it. The wizard walked in, carrying a tray of tea. He set it on the table and sat in his ancient chair, his eyes twinkling. Wizard, the keyblade has been restless. Pulling you somewhere specific. John, nodding, I feel it. It's stronger than before. More urgent. Wizard, sipping his tea, then you should not keep it waiting. John stood, Stitch immediately leaping onto his shoulder. John, you're coming. Stitch, crossing his arms, Stitch go where John go. Ohana. John, smiling softly, Ohana. He raised the keyblade. The portal opened, not swirling like before, but solid. Certain. Waiting. Wizard, be careful, John. This world feels different. Older. More wounded. John, stepping toward the portal. Aren't they all? He stepped through. Stitch held on, and the light swallowed them both. World number 5, Ancient China, the land of war. Location, China, the northern frontier, mountain pass. Time, dawn, mist rising. John emerged from the portal on a mountainside. The air was cold, sharp, carrying the scent of pine and distant smoke. Below him, a valley stretched toward the horizon, dotted with villages and rice paddies. And beyond the valley, a wall. Massive, ancient, built to keep something out. John, breathing in the cold air, this isn't like the other worlds. Stitch, sniffing, smells like soldiers. Many soldiers. John, looking down at the mountain path because there's a war. Footsteps, marching. A column of soldiers, hundreds of them, winding up the mountain path toward a pass fortress. Their armor was practical, worn, real. Their faces were young, too young. John, quietly, they're just kids. Stitch, his ears flat, kids shouldn't fight. John, no, they shouldn't. He watched them march, and felt the keyblade pulse. The heart of this world wasn't in a castle, or a ship, or a cave. It was in those soldiers. In their fear, their courage, their longing to go home. The camp, the Imperial Army. Location, the Northern Pass, Imperial Army Camp. Evening, John walked into the camp openly. No armor, keyblade hidden, just a traveler in practical gear, accompanied by a strange blue creature that rode on his shoulder. The soldiers stared. A young captain, barely older than John, approached, his hand on his sword. Captain, halt. State your name and business. John Archer. Traveler. I'm looking for someone. Captain, eyes narrowing, looking for who? John, I don't know yet. But I'll know when I find them. The captain's hand tightened on his sword. Stitch, staring at the captain, Stitch, think you should let us pass. Captain, startled, the creature talks. Stitch, offended, Stitch not, creature. Stitch is Stitch. The captain opened his mouth, then closed it. A voice called out from behind him. Voice, let them through, Lieutenant. The captain stepped aside. A young woman walked toward them, not dressed as a soldier, but as a leader. Her black hair was pulled back in a tight knot. Her brown eyes held a fire that John recognized. She had been told she didn't belong. And she had proven everyone wrong. John, quietly, you're the one I was looking for. Woman, raising an eyebrow, you don't even know my name. John, then tell me. She studied him for a long moment. Mulan, F.A. Mulan. Captain of the Imperial Army. And you are standing in the middle of my camp during a war, asking questions you don't have answers to. John, almost smiling, that's a fair criticism. Mulan, I have many. Mulan, the warrior. Location, the camp, Mulan's tent. Night, the tent was small, just big enough for a cot, a table, and a map covered in markers. Mulan sat across from John, her sword across her lap, her eyes never leaving his face. Mulan, you're not from China. John, I'm not from this world. Mulan, not flinching, I've heard stranger things. The Huns are sorcerers. They command shadows that cannot be killed. She looked at his keyblade, hidden, but present. You command light. John, surprised, how do you know that? Mulan, tapping her chest, I feel it. Here. She leaned forward. Can your light kill the Huns, shadows? John, if they're connected to the Heartless, yes. But I need to see them first. Mulan, standing, then come. The Huns attack at dawn. She walked out of the tent. John followed. Stitch, perched on his shoulder, whispered. Stitch, Stitch like her. John, under his breath, me too. The battle, dawn. Location, the Northern Pass, the wall. Dawn. The Huns came with the sunrise. Not on horses, on shadows. Their leader, Shan Yu, rode at the front, his massive frame wrapped in darkness, his eyes glowing red. And behind him, the Heartless. Hundreds of them, thousands, pouring out of the mist like a tide of claws and teeth. Soldier, panicking, the shadows, they're back. Mulan, drawing her sword, shouting, hold the line. For China, for your families. The soldiers rallied, fear turning to courage, and met the Huns head-on. Swords clashed, arrows flew, men fell, but the Heartless kept coming. John, running to the wall's edge, keyblade blazing, arc light. The holy light exploded, not at the Huns, but at the heartless. The shadows screamed, dissolved, fled. Shan Yu, his voice booming, a new warrior. With new magic. He pointed his sword at Jaune. Kill him. The heartless swarmed. Jaune, to Stitch, stay with Mulan. Protect her. Stitch, leaping off his shoulder, claws extended, Stitch protect. Jaune plunged into the heartless horde. Keyblade swinging, magic blazing, armor deploying. He was a storm of light and steel, and the heartless could not touch him. But there were too many. For every one he destroyed, 3 more took its place. Jaune, panting, surrounded, there's no end to them. Mulan, fighting beside him, her sword flashing, then we make an end. She moved like water, like wind, like nothing he had ever seen. Her sword wasn't a keyblade, but it didn't need to be. She was precision, purpose, heart. Jaune, watching her fight, you're incredible. Mulan, not looking at him, save the compliments for after we win. Jaune, smiling despite himself, yes, ma'am. Shan Yu, the Dark General. The heartless parted. Shan Yu walked through them, his massive frame towering over the soldiers, his red eyes fixed on Jaune. Shan Yu, you wield light. But light is nothing against true darkness. Jaune, raising the keyblade, then you've never seen real light. They clashed. Shan Yu's sword, black as obsidian, thrumming with dark energy, struck the keyblade. Sparks flew. The ground cracked beneath them. Shan Yu, pressing forward, you're strong. But strength without darkness is weakness. Jaune, holding his ground, I've heard that before. From people who lost. He pushed. Shan Yu staggered, and Jaune brought the keyblade down in a blazing arc. Jaune, arc light, full power. The holy light consumed Shan Yu. The Dark General screamed, his body dissolving, his darkness burning, and collapsed. The heartless, without their leader, fled. The battle was over. The aftermath, the camp. Location, the Northern Pass, Imperial Army Camp. Night, the soldiers celebrated. Bonfires, laughter, tears. Mulan stood apart from them, watching the flames, her sword cleaned and sheathed. Jaune walked up beside her. Jaune, you're not celebrating. Mulan, quietly, I'm thinking. Jaune, about. Mulan, about what comes next. The Emperor will want to honor me. My family will want me to come home. She looked at her hands. But I'm not sure I know how to be ordinary. After all of this. Jaune, sitting on the ground beside her, who says you have to be ordinary? Mulan, looking at him, what do you mean? Jaune, you're a warrior, Mulan. Not because of your sword. Because of your heart. You fight for people who can't fight for themselves. That doesn't stop when the war ends. Mulan was silent for a long moment. Mulan, you're strange, Jaune Archer. Jaune, smiling, I've been told. Mulan, almost smiling back, but perhaps, that's not a bad thing. She sat beside him, not close, but present, and they watched the stars together. Stitch, curled up on Jaune's other side, snored softly. Mulan, quietly, what is that creature? Your companion. Jaune, his name is Stitch. He's family. Mulan, nodding, he's lucky to have you. Jaune, looking at her, so are the soldiers. So is China. Mulan's cheeks flushed, just slightly. Mulan, you're a flatterer. Jaune, I'm honest. There's a difference. The keyhole. Location, the Northern Pass, the wall. Midnight. Jaune felt it. The keyhole wasn't in the camp, or the fortress, or the battlefield. It was in the wall itself. The ancient structure that had protected China for centuries, built by hands long turned to dust, maintained by hands that still bled. Jaune, standing before the wall, keyblade raised, this world, it's not about the Huns. It's not about the war. It's about protection. About people building something to keep each other safe. The keyhole appeared, carved into the stone like it had always been there. Jaune, lock. Light flowed from the keyblade to the keyhole. The keyhole shimmered, then solidified, turning from translucent to gold, then fading into the stone. The world was safe. Mulan, from behind him, what did you just do? Jaune, turning, locked the heart of this world. The darkness won't be able to return. Mulan, walking toward him, and you. Will you return? Jaune, quietly, if you need me. Mulan, stopping in front of him, and if I just want you to. Jaune remembered Merida, Raya, the same question, the same hope. John, honestly, then I'll come back for that, too. Mulan studied his face, searching for lies, for deception, for anything. She found nothing. Mulan, reaching up, touching his cheek, you're not like anyone I've ever met. John, his voice soft, neither are you. She kissed him. Not quick, not fierce, gently, like she was afraid he might break. Mulan, pulling back, that's for saving China. John, his face warm, you're welcome. Stitch, waking up, yawning, Stitch miss kiss. John, covering his face, go back to sleep, Stitch. Stitch, snickering, Stitch see everything. Mulan, laughing, a genuine, surprised laugh, I like him. John, groaning, everyone does. The farewell. Location, the northern pass, the wall. Dawn, John stood at the edge of the wall, portal open, Stitch on his shoulder. Mulan stood across from him, her sword at her hip, her eyes bright. Mulan, you'll come back. John, I will. Mulan, promise. John, touching his keyblade, I promise. She nodded, just once. Mulan, then go. Other worlds need you. John, stepping toward the portal, take care of yourself, Mulan. Mulan, almost smiling, I always do. He stepped through. The light swallowed him, and Mulan stood alone on the wall, watching the spot where he had disappeared, her hand touching her lips where she had kissed him. Mulan, quietly, come back soon, Keyblade warrior. The wind blew, and somewhere, in the camp below, the soldiers cheered. Chapter 6, The Beast's Heart. Location, the Wizard's Tower, the library. Evening, after China. John sat on the couch, Stitch curled in his lap, both of them staring at the fire. The wizard sat across from them, his ancient fingers steepled, his eyes thoughtful. Wizard, China was different. John, nodding, the Heartless were organized. Someone was leading them. Wizard, Shan Yu was powerful, but he was not the source. He was a conduit. A vessel for something darker. Stitch, not opening his eyes, Stitch felt it. Darkness had shape, purpose. Wizard, leaning forward, the creator is getting bolder. He's not just observing anymore. He's testing you. John, his jaw tightening, then I need to be ready. Wizard, you are ready. But the next world, he paused. The next world is different. There is no war, no army, just a curse, and a prison. John, standing, Stitch leaping to his shoulder, tell me. Wizard, shaking his head, I cannot. This is something you must see for yourself. John raised the keyblade. The portal opened, darker than before, tinged with purple, with sorrow. Stitch, his ears flat, Stitch no like that color. John, stepping forward, neither do I. But someone in there needs help. He stepped through. Stitch held on, and the sorrow swallowed them both. World number 6, the Enchanted Forest, the Beast's Domain. Location, the Enchanted Forest, the castle gates. Time, dusk, eternal winter. John emerged from the portal in a forest of thorns. The trees were dead, not from disease, but from grief. Snow covered the ground, thick and unmelting. The sky was gray, sunless, hopeless. And ahead of them, a castle. Massive, gothic, wrapped in shadows that moved like they were alive. Stitch, shivering, Stitch no like this place. John, scanning the treeline, neither do I. But the keyblade brought us here for a reason. He walked toward the castle. The gates groaned open, not welcoming him, but allowing him. Like the castle itself was deciding whether to let him in. Voice, from the shadows, old and weary, another visitor. How unexpected. John turned. A man, no, not a man. A servant, but his body was wrong. His arms were too long. His face was clockwork. Cogsworth, checking a pocket watch that was literally part of his body. The master does not receive guests. Especially not ones with glowing keys. John, not lowering the keyblade, I'm not here to see your master. I'm here to help. Cogsworth, scoffing, help. No one can help us. The curse is absolute. The master is beyond help. Stitch, from John's shoulder, Stitch heard that before. Stitch proved them wrong. Cogsworth stared at the little blue creature. Cogsworth, what are you? Stitch, Stitch is Stitch. What you are. Cogsworth looked at his clockwork hands. His mechanical body. His prison. Cogsworth, quietly, I don't remember anymore. The castle, the servants. Cogsworth led them inside. The castle was beautiful, in a haunting, crumbling way. Tapestries depicting knights and dragons. Chandeliers covered in cobwebs. Stairs that led to rooms that hadn't been opened in years. And everywhere, servants. A teapot with a woman's face. A candelabra with arms. A feather duster that moved like a dancer. A wardrobe that hummed. Lumiere, the candelabra, bowing, ah. Visitors. How wonderful. It has been so long since we have had guests. Mrs. Potts, the teapot, warmer, mind your manners, Lumiere. The boy looks tired. John, staring at them, not with fear, but with sadness. The curse, it turned you all into things. Lumiere, his flames flickering. The enchantress was not gentle. John, where is your master? The servants exchanged glances. Cogsworth, reluctantly, the west wing. But I would not advise. John, already walking, I didn't ask for advice. Stitch waved at the servants as John climbed the stairs. Stitch come back later. Stitch want to see kitchen. Mrs. Potts, surprised, well, I suppose I could make tea. The west wing, the beast. The west wing was destroyed. Furniture smashed. Mirrors cracked. Paintings slashed. And at the center of it all, hunched over a wilting rose beneath a glass dome, was the beast. He was massive, lion's mane, bear's body, wolf's claws. But his eyes were human, and they were filled with despair. Beast, not turning around, leave. John, stopping in the doorway, no. The beast turned, fast, dangerous, and roared. Beast, I said leave. The windows rattled. The floor shook. Stitch, who had run up the stairs behind John, hid behind his legs. But John didn't flinch. John, quietly, I've been cursed before. Not like this. Not physically. But I know what it's like to look in the mirror and not recognize yourself. The beast stared at him. John, stepping forward, my name is John. I'm a keyblade warrior. And I'm here to help you. Beast, his voice cracking, no one can help me. The rose is dying. When the last petal falls, I remain a beast forever. John, looking at the rose, at the darkness clinging to its petals, that's not a curse. That's a heartless infestation. Someone poisoned your rosé. Someone wants you to fall. The beast's eyes widened. Beast, the enchantress, she said the curse could only be broken by. He stopped. John, by. Beast, turning away, it doesn't matter. She's gone. Everyone is gone. I am alone. Stitch, stepping out from behind John, Stitch no alone. Stitch was alone. Then John came. He walked toward the beast, small, unafraid. Stitch not alone anymore. Beast not have to be alone. The beast looked at the little blue creature. For the first time in years, something flickered in his eyes. Not hope, but the possibility of hope. Belle, the prisoner. Location, the castle, the dungeon. Night, John found her in the dungeon. Not a prisoner of the beast, a prisoner of circumstance. She had come to the castle looking for her father, a lost inventor. She had offered herself in exchange for his freedom. And now she sat in a cold cell, reading a book by candlelight, her brown hair falling across her face. Belle, not looking up, if you're here to frighten me, it won't work. I've already met the beast. John, surprised, I'm not here to frighten you. Belle looked up. Her eyes were warm, not weak, but kind. The kind of kindness that had survived hardship, that had chosen to remain soft in a hard world. Belle, studying him, you're not from the village. John, I'm not from this world. Belle, setting down her book, that's not the strangest thing I've heard today. John, kneeling in front of her cell, the beast isn't your enemy. The curse isn't his fault. Someone is poisoning this place, feeding on the darkness, making sure the curse never breaks. Belle, her eyes sharpening, who? John, I don't know yet. But I'm going to find out. He raised the keyblade. The cell door unlocked, not with a key, but with light. Belle, standing, stepping out, you broke the lock. John, the keyblade opens anything. Locks, doors. He looked at her. Hearts, if they're ready. Belle touched her chest. Belle, quietly, my heart isn't locked. It's just, waiting. John, for what? Belle, looking toward the west wing, for someone to see past the fur. The heartless nest. Location, the castle, the underground crypt. Late night, the servants had told John about the crypt. No one had been down there in years. The beast had forbidden it. But the darkness was strongest there, thick enough to taste. Jaune, descending the stairs, keyblade blazing, stay behind me, Belle. Belle, holding a candelabra, Lumiere, who had insisted on coming, I'm not good at staying behind. Stitch, on Jaune's shoulder, claws out, Stitch stay front. Stitch protect. The crypt opened into a cavern. And at its center, a heart. Not a real heart, a heartless heart. Massive, pulsing, black as tar. Tendrils of darkness stretched from it to the surface, to the castle, to the rose. Jaune, staring, that's the source. Someone planted a heartless heart beneath the castle. It's been feeding on the curse for years. Belle, horrified, who would do such a thing? Voice, from the shadows, cold and familiar, someone who believes that light must be controlled. The shadows parted, and a figure stepped out, tall, cloaked, wearing a mask that covered everything but his eyes. The Creator. Jaune, raising the keyblade, you. Creator, tilting his head, we meet at last, Keyblade Warrior. I've watched you across worlds. Across time. You have something I want. Jaune, I'm not giving you anything. Creator, almost laughing, you misunderstand. I don't want your keyblade. I don't want your power. He stepped closer. I want your heart. The battle, Keyblade versus Creator. The Creator raised his hand. And the heartless heart screamed. Tendrils of darkness lashed out, striking at Jaune, at Belle, at Stitch. Jaune blocked with the keyblade, but the darkness was everywhere. Jaune, to Belle, to Stitch, get back. Belle, holding Lumiere like a torch, I can help. Jaune, stay back. He didn't mean to shout. But the darkness was in his head now, whispering, tempting. You're weak. You're alone. Everyone who ever loved you abandoned you. Creator, watching, pleased, yes. Feel it. The darkness is not your enemy, Jaune Archer. It is your truth. Jaune, struggling, the keyblade flickering, no, I won't. Belle, stepping forward, into the darkness. Jaune. He looked up. She was standing in the middle of the crypt, surrounded by shadows, holding Lumiere like a beacon. Belle, you told me the keyblade opens hearts. But hearts have to want to be opened. She reached out, not for him, but for the darkness. Belle, I spent my whole life in a village that didn't understand me. People who thought I was strange because I read books. Because I wanted more. She looked at the Creator. You think darkness is truth. You're wrong. Darkness is fear. And fear is just a story we tell ourselves. The shadows hesitated. Belle, turning to Jaune, you're not weak. You're not alone. And you are not defined by the people who abandoned you. Jaune's keyblade blazed. Jaune, standing, his armor deploying, arc light, HEARTFORGE. The light didn't just strike the darkness. It bonded with Belle. Her courage, her kindness, her unshakable belief that people could be more than their circumstances. The light flowed through her, into Jaune, and erupted from the keyblade in a wave of pure hope. The heartless heart shattered. The Creator screamed, not in pain, but in fury, and disappeared into the shadows. Creator, his voice fading, this isn't over, Keyblade Warrior. I will have your heart. One way, or another. The crypt fell silent, the darkness faded, and Belle collapsed. The aftermath, the rose blooms. Location, the castle, the West Wing. Dawn. Jaune carried Belle to the West Wing. The beast stood by the rose, his massive hands trembling. The last petal was falling, slowly, inevitably. Beast. His voice breaking, it's too late. The curse, it's over. Jaune. Laying Belle on the floor, kneeling beside her, no. It's not. He raised the keyblade. Jaune. Cure, full power. Light flowed from the blade into Belle, waking her, healing her, and then into the rose. The last petal stopped falling. The rose glowed, and the beast began to change. His fur receded. His claws shortened. His massive frame shrunk, not into something smaller, but into something human. When the light faded, a man stood where the beast had been. He was tall, broad-shouldered. His hair was dark, his eyes were blue, and his face was kind. Adam, looking at his hands, human hands, I'm me again. Belle, waking, sitting up, staring at him, you're beautiful. Adam, his voice raw, I'm free. Jaune lowered the keyblade. Stitch climbed onto his shoulder, patting his head. Stitch. Jaune do good. Jaune always do good. Jaune, exhausted, but smiling, I had help. The keyhole. Location. The castle, the ballroom. Dawn. The keyhole appeared above the ballroom floor, golden, warm, welcoming. The servants, now human again, gathered to watch. Lumiere, Cogsworth, Mrs. Potts, Chip, Plumette. They held hands, wept, celebrated. Jaune, raising the keyblade, this world, it's not about curses or castles. It's about seeing. Seeing past the fur, past the armor, past the fear. The keyhole shimmered. Jaune. Lock. Light flowed. The keyhole solidified. The world was safe. Belle. Walking up beside him, you're leaving. Jaune. I have to. There are other worlds. Other people who need help. Belle. Quietly, will you come back? Jaune. Meeting her eyes, if you need me. Belle. Touching his cheek, and if I just want you to. Jaune smiled, tired, but real. Jaune. Then I'll come back for that, too. Belle kissed him. Not quick. Not fierce. Not gentle. Thankful. Belle. Pulling back, that's for saving us. All of us. Jaune. His face warm, you're welcome. Adam. Walking over, extending his hand, I don't know how to thank you, Keyblade Warrior. Jaune. Shaking his hand, live. Be happy. That's thanks enough. Adam. Looking at Belle, then back at Jaune, I will try. The farewell. Location. The castle, the gates. Dawn. Jaune stood at the gates, portal open, Stitch on his shoulder. Belle and Adam stood together, their hands intertwined. Belle. Come back soon. Jaune. I will. Adam. The castle is always open to you. Stitch. Waving, Stitch brings snacks next time. Mrs. Potts. From the doorway, laughing, I'll have tea ready. Jaune stepped through the portal. The light swallowed him. And Belle watched him go, not with sadness, but with hope. Belle. To Adam, he's extraordinary. Adam. Watching the portal close, no. He's just good. That's what makes him extraordinary. Chapter 7. The Frozen Heart. Location. The Wizard's Tower, the library. Morning, after the enchanted forest. The fire crackled. Stitch was sprawled on the couch, his belly full of Mrs. Potts's tea and biscuits which he had somehow convinced her to send through the portal. The wizard sat in his chair, stroking his beard. Jaune stood at the window, looking out at the stars. Wizard. The creator showed himself. Jaune. Not turning, he wanted my heart. Wizard. Not your physical heart. Your light. Your ability to bond with others. To create links. Jaune. Finally turning, he said he's been watching me. Across worlds. Across time. Wizard. His expression grim, I feared as much. The creator is not from any world you've visited. He is from the space between worlds. A place where light and darkness are harvested. Stitch. Not opening his eyes, Stitch no like him. Stitch want to bite him. Wizard. Almost smiling, you may get the chance. Jaune walked to the table, picked up the keyblade. Jaune. The next world. The keyblade is pulling harder than ever. Wizard. Nodding, frozen. A world of ice, isolation, and two sisters torn apart by fear. Jaune. Fear. Wizard. The elder sister was born with magic, the power to create ice and snow. But she was taught to fear her gift. To hide it. And her fear, it became a curse. Jaune. Strapping the keyblade to his back, then it's time someone taught her differently. Stitch leapt onto his shoulder. Stitch. Stitch ready. Wizard. Calling after them, be careful, Jaune. That world is colder than it looks. And the heart of its darkness is not what you expect. Jaune raised the keyblade. The portal opened, white and blue, rimmed with frost. He stepped through. Stitch held on. And the cold swallowed them both. World number 7. Arendelle, the Eternal Winter. Location. Arendelle, the North Mountain. Time. Dusk, blizzard conditions. Jaune emerged from the portal into a wall of snow. The wind howled. Ice crystals stung his face. Stitch buried himself in Jaune's jacket, shivering violently. Stitch. Muffled, Stitch no like cold. Stitch was made for warm. Jaune. Summoning his keyblade armor, the mecha-inspired plates sealing against the wind, just stay close. I'll get us out of this. He pushed forward. The mountain was treacherous, ice underfoot, cliffs hidden by blowing snow, the path barely visible. But the keyblade pulled him upward, toward the summit. Jaune. To himself, who would live up here? In this Voice, from the storm, sharp and frightened, go away. A blast of ice, aimed, shot toward him. John raised the keyblade. Reflect. The ice shattered against the barrier, raining down in sparkling shards. John, peering into the storm, I'm not here to hurt you. Voice, everyone says that. Another blast, stronger. John dodged, barely, and rolled behind an outcropping of rock. Stitch, peeking out of the jacket, lady angry. Lady powerful. John, breathing hard, yeah. I noticed. He stood, slowly, hands raised, no keyblade visible. John, my name is John. I'm a keyblade warrior. I go from world to world, helping people who are trapped by darkness. He took a step forward. I think you're trapped, too. Not by the mountain, by fear. The storm hesitated. A figure emerged from the snow. She was tall, pale, graceful, her white blonde hair whipping in the wind. Her gown was ice blue, shimmering, alive. Her hands glowed with frost. But her eyes were terrified. Elsa, her voice cracking, you don't know anything about my fear. John, softly, you're right. I don't. But I know what it's like to be afraid of yourself. To think that something inside you is wrong. Something that will hurt the people you love. Elsa stared at him. John, taking another step, I was born weak. My family abandoned me because of it. They thought I was worthless. A mistake. Elsa, quietly, my parents taught me to hide. To conceal, don't feel. They thought my magic was a curse. John, it's not. Elsa, her voice breaking, I almost killed my sister. When we were children, I hit her with my magic. She could have died. John, but she didn't. Elsa, tears freezing on her cheeks, I locked myself away after that. For years, I thought if I stayed alone, she would be safe. John, now standing in front of her, was she. Elsa's face crumpled. Elsa, no. The Ice Palace. Location, the North Mountain, Elsa's Ice Palace. Night. Elsa led them to her palace, a magnificent structure of crystalline ice, spiraling towers and frozen chandeliers. Beautiful. And empty. John, looking around, you built all of this. Elsa, wrapping her arms around herself, magic. It's the only thing I'm good at. Stitch, hopping off John's shoulder, exploring, Stitch like the shiny. Very shiny. Elsa, staring at the little blue creature, what is that? John, his name is Stitch. He's my companion, my Ohana. Elsa, Ohana. Stitch, looking up, Ohana means family. Family means nobody gets left behind. Or forgotten. He tilted his head. You look left behind. Elsa's lip trembled. John, sitting on an ice bench, patting the spot beside him, tell me about your sister. Elsa hesitated. Then she sat. Elsa, quietly, Anna. She's everything I'm not. Warm, brave, reckless. She doesn't understand why I pushed her away. She thinks I hate her. John, do you? Elsa, sharply, of course not. I love her more than anything. That's why I left. John, gently, love isn't about protecting someone from yourself. It's about letting them see you. All of you. Even the parts you're afraid of. Elsa looked at her hands, frost creeping across her palms. Elsa, what if she's afraid of those parts? John, then you show her they're nothing to fear. The heartless, the shadow of fear. The palace shuddered. Ice cracked. Chandeliers fell. Darkness poured through the walls, not the heartless John had fought before, but something new. Shadow Elsa, rising from the floor, formed entirely of black ice and rage. You think love can save you. Love is what trapped you. Love is what made you hide. Elsa, backing away, horrified, what is that? John, keyblade already in hand, armor deploying, a heartless. But not a normal one. It's feeding on your fear. Your isolation. Shadow Elsa, laughing, cold, cruel, I am not a heartless. I am truth. I am every night she lay awake, terrified of herself. Every moment she pushed her sister away. Every scream she swallowed. Elsa, clutching her head, stop. Stop. Shadow Elsa, stepping closer, you are a monster, Elsa. You always have been. The only way to keep everyone safe, is to stay alone. John, stepping between them, that's enough. He raised the keyblade. John, arc light. The holy light struck the Shadow Elsa, and bounced off. Shadow Elsa, smiling, horrible, triumphant, you cannot destroy me with light. I am her. Every dark thought she's ever had. Every fear she's never spoken. Jaune, realizing, then I can't fight you. Shadow Elsa, no, you cannot. Jaune, lowering the keyblade, but she can. Elsa looked at him, horrified. Jaune, turning to her, this isn't my battle, Elsa. It's yours. That thing is made of your fear. And fear is just a story we tell ourselves. Elsa, her voice shaking, I can't. I don't know how. Jaune, taking her hand, warm, steady, yes, you do. You've been fighting this your whole life. Every day you woke up and chose to keep going. Every day you protected Anna from yourself. That's not weakness. That's strength. Shadow Elsa, screaming, he is lying. You are a monster. Elsa, looking at the shadow, at herself, maybe I am. She stepped forward. Elsa, maybe I have darkness inside me. Maybe my magic is dangerous. Maybe I could hurt someone. The shadow grinned. Elsa, her voice growing stronger, but I am not my fear. I am not my isolation. I am not the voice that tells me I'm unworthy of love. Her hands blazed, not with frost, but with light. Elsa, I am Elsa. I am the Queen of Arendelle. And I am done being afraid. She thrust her hands forward. The light exploded. The shadow screamed, dissolved, vanished. And Elsa collapsed. The healing, Anna. Location, Arendelle, the castle gates. Dawn. Jaune carried Elsa down the mountain. Stitch ran ahead, clearing the path, his little body surprisingly strong against the snow. When they reached the castle gates, a crowd had gathered. And at the front, a young woman with red hair and desperate eyes. Anna, running toward them, Elsa. She threw her arms around her sister, sobbing, holding her like she might disappear. Elsa, waking, confused, Anna. What are you, how did you? Anna, laughing, crying, you idiot. You absolute idiot. I came to find you. I was so scared. I thought I'd lost you forever. Elsa, touching Anna's face, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought I was protecting you. Anna, holding her tighter, I don't need your protection. I need my sister. Elsa broke. Not into fear, not into darkness, into love. Stitch, watching from Jaune's shoulder, wiping his eye, Stitch not crying. Stitch just, allergies. Jaune, smiling, sure, buddy. The keyhole. Location, Arendelle, the castle courtyard. Dawn, the keyhole appeared above the courtyard fountain, warm, golden, welcoming. But Jaune didn't raise the keyblade immediately. He watched Elsa and Anna, still holding each other, still weeping, still healing. Jaune, quietly, this world, it's not about magic. It's not about ice or snow. It's about fear. The fear of being yourself. The fear of hurting the ones you love. The fear that you're not enough. He raised the keyblade. Jaune, but fear is just a story. And stories can be rewritten. Jaune, lock, light flowed. The keyhole solidified. The world was safe. Elsa, walking up beside him, Anna's hand in hers, you did it. Jaune, shaking his head, you did it. I just held your hand. Elsa, looking at him, really looking, sometimes that's enough. The farewell. Location, Arendelle, the castle docks. Dawn, Jaune stood at the water's edge, portal open, Stitch on his shoulder. Elsa and Anna stood together, their arms around each other. Anna, to Jaune, thank you. For bringing her back. Jaune, smiling, she brought herself back. I just reminded her she could. Elsa, stepping forward, will you come back? Jaune, meeting her eyes, if you need me. Elsa, quietly, and if I just want you to. Jaune remembered the others. Merida, Raya, Mulan, Belle. The same question. The same hope. And now, Elsa. Jaune, honestly, then I'll come back for that, too. Elsa nodded, just once. Then she kissed him. Not on the cheek. Not gently. Not thankfully. Deeply. Like she was afraid he might freeze and shatter. Elsa, pulling back, her cheeks flushed, that's for believing in me. Jaune, his face warm, his heart pounding, you're welcome. Anna, grinning, sis. You just kissed a stranger. Elsa, not looking away from Jaune, he's not a stranger. He's the first person who ever told me it was okay to be me. Stitch, on Jaune's shoulder, nodding sagely, Stitch approved. Jaune, covering his face, why does everyone always say that? Stitch, because Stitch always right. The Wizard's Tower, Return. Location: the Wizard's Tower, the library. Evening. John sat on the couch, staring at the fire. Stitch was already asleep, curled in his lap, snoring softly. The Wizard sat across from him, sipping tea. Wizard, you're thinking about her. John, I'm thinking about all of them. Merida, Raya, Mulan, Belle, Elsa. He looked at the Wizard. I promised them I'd come back. But what if I can't? What if the creator, what if he wins? Wizard, setting down his tea. Then you don't let him. John, quietly, that's not an answer. Wizard, leaning forward, it's the only answer there is, John. You fight, you survive, you come back, because they're waiting for you. Because they believe in you. Because you gave them something no one else could. John, what's that? Wizard, smiling, hope. John looked down at Stitch, the little blue alien who had been designed to destroy, who had chosen to love. John, quietly, I hope that's enough. Wizard, it always has been. Chapter 8, The Chosen One's Redemption. Location: the Wizard's Tower, the library. Evening, after Arendelle. John sat on the floor, sharpening the keyblade, not because it needed sharpening, but because the ritual calmed him. Stitch was curled on the couch, snoring softly, one ear twitching in his sleep. The Wizard stood at the window, his back to John, his voice thoughtful. Wizard, the creator has been quiet. Too quiet. John, not looking up, he's planning something. Wizard, yes, but what? He wanted your heart. He failed. Now he's watching, waiting for the right moment. John, standing, then I won't give him one. He raised the keyblade. The portal opened, but differently this time. Not swirling light, not colors, stars, thousands of them, a galaxy spinning in miniature. Wizard, surprised, this world is vast. An entire galaxy of conflict. John, staring into the portal, the keyblade is pulling me toward one person. Someone drowning in darkness. Someone who doesn't know he's already falling. Stitch, waking up, yawning, Stitch feel it too. Big sadness. Big anger. John, stepping forward, then let's go pull him out. He stepped through. Stitch leapt onto his shoulder. And the stars swallowed them both. World number 8, the galaxy far, far away, the Clone Wars. Location: Coruscant, the Jedi Temple. Time: unknown, the height of the Clone Wars. John emerged from the portal in a corridor of marble and light. The Jedi Temple. He had read about this place, not in books, but in the memories of the Keyblade. Other wielders had visited this galaxy. Other warriors had walked these halls. But those visits had been centuries ago. Now, the temple was different. The halls were crowded with soldiers, clone troopers, in white armor, their helmets hiding their faces. Jedi hurried past, their robes billowing, their faces tight with stress. And everywhere, fear. Not the fear of battle. The fear of loss. The fear of failure. John, walking through the crowd, unnoticed, the Keyblade said this war was rigged from the beginning. Stitch, whispering, Stitch feel darkness in walls. Darkness in people. John, nodding, someone is feeding on their fear. Someone powerful. They reached the training courtyard. And there, standing alone, was a man. He was tall, broad-shouldered, dark-haired, his face marked by a scar above his right eye. His clothes were Jedi robes, but his stance was soldier. His hands were wrapped around a blue lightsaber that hummed with barely contained energy. And his eyes were stormy, angry, lost. John, quietly, Anakin Skywalker. The Chosen One. Anakin spun, lightsaber raised, and stopped when he saw John. Not a soldier, not a Jedi, a stranger in strange armor. Anakin, his voice sharp, who are you? How do you know my name? John, raising his hands, peaceful, unarmed, my name is John. I'm a Keyblade warrior. I go from world to world, helping people who are trapped by darkness. Anakin, his eyes narrowing, I'm not trapped. John, softly, aren't you? Anakin's grip on his lightsaber tightened. Anakin, you don't know anything about me. John, stepping closer, I know you're afraid. I know you've been having nightmares. I know you've done things you're not proud of, in the name of protecting the people you love. Anakin's face went pale. John, I know because I've been there. Fear, anger, the feeling that no one understands. That no one can understand. Anakin, his voice cracking, "What do you want?" John, stopping in front of him, "To show you the future. So you can change it." He raised the keyblade, and light poured into Anakin's mind. The vision. Anakin saw everything. Order 66. Clone troopers turning on their Jedi generals. Younglings cut down in the temple halls. Padme, dying in childbirth. His own body, burned and broken, encased in black armor. Darth Vader. The monster he would become. Anakin, falling to his knees, gasping, "No, no, that's not. I would never." John, kneeling beside him, "You would. Because the darkness inside you, the fear, the anger, the desperation, is already being fed. Someone is poisoning you, making you believe that the only way to save the ones you love is to control everything. To obey him." Anakin, looking up, tears in his eyes. Palpatine. John, "Yes, Anakin." His voice hollow, He's been my friend. My mentor. He said he could help me save Padme. He said the dark side was the only way." John, placing his hand on Anakin's shoulder, "He lied." The keyblade pulsed, and Anakin felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. The battle, Heartless siege. The temple alarms blared. Heartless, not the shadows John had fought before, but new ones, poured out of the walls. Dark Jedi, corrupted by Palpatine's influence, led the charge. John, standing, armor deploying, keyblade blazing, "Stitch, protect the younglings." Stitch, leaping off his shoulder, claws extended, "Stitch, protect." The little blue alien ran toward the children's quarters, his small body a blur of blue fury. Anakin, standing, his lightsaber humming, "What are those things?" John, cutting down a dark Jedi, "Heartless. They feed on darkness, and this temple is full of it." They fought side by side, keyblade and lightsaber, cutting through the corrupted Jedi, pushing back the heartless horde. Anakin, fighting, breathing hard, "You showed me the future. But can we change it?" John, grinning despite the chaos, "That's the point of seeing it." The Council, truth revealed. Location, the Jedi Temple, Council Chambers. An hour later, the battle was over. The surviving Jedi, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda, and others, stood in the council chambers, their faces grim. John stood before them, keyblade at his side, Anakin beside him. Mace, his voice cold, "You claim the Chancellor is a Sith Lord. You claim the Clone Wars were rigged from the beginning. You claim the clones have chips in their heads designed to make them kill us." John, meeting his eyes, "Yes. Mace, and you have proof." John raised the keyblade. The holographic projectors in the room flickered, then displayed everything. Palpatine's manipulations. The creation of the clone army. Order 66. The rise of the Empire. The Jedi watched in horror. Obi-Wan, to Anakin, his voice breaking, You become that." Anakin, his jaw tight, "Not anymore." Yoda, his ears drooping, "Darkness has clouded our vision. A failure, this is. Our failure." John, quietly, "The Jedi taught you to suppress your emotions. To fear attachment. But that fear, that suppression, is what made Anakin vulnerable." Palpatine offered him what the Jedi couldn't, permission to feel. Mace, his voice sharp, "The dark side." John, cutting him off, "Is real. But so is the light. The problem isn't emotion. The problem is what you do with it." Anakin loves Padme. That love isn't weakness. It's strength. But fear of losing her, fear that he's not good enough, not powerful enough to protect her, that's what Palpatine exploited. The council was silent. Anakin, stepping forward, "He's right. I've been so afraid of losing the people I love that I was willing to do anything to keep them. Even betray everything I believed in." He looked at Obi-Wan. Anakin, "I'm sorry, Master. For keeping secrets. For pushing you away." Obi-Wan stepped forward, and hugged him. Obi-Wan, his voice thick, "You're not alone, Anakin. You never were." The chips, freeing the clones. Location, the Jedi Temple, Medical Bay. Hours later, John stood over Captain Rex, the keyblade glowing. Rex, suspicious, "What are you doing?" John, "Removing a chip from your brain. A chip designed to make you murder your Jedi generals." Rex's eyes widened. John, "Hold still. This might sting." The keyblade's light pierced Rex's skull, not violently, but surgically. The chip dissolved, its dark programming erased. Rex gasped, then laughed. "Rex, touching his head, I feel free. John, smiling, you are. One by one, John removed the chips from the clone troopers. Rex helped, calling his brothers, explaining what had been done to them. And one by one, the clones chose to stay. Not because they were programmed to. Because they wanted to. Palpatine, the Dark Lord's fall. Location: the Senate building, Chancellor's office. Night. Palpatine sat in his chair, his yellow eyes fixed on the door. He had felt the disturbance hours ago. The Keyblade warrior. The light that had saved Anakin Skywalker from his grasp. Palpatine. To himself, no matter. The plan is still in motion. Order 66 will. The door exploded inward. John walked through the smoke, Keyblade blazing, armor gleaming. Behind him stood Anakin, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, and a dozen clone troopers, uncontrolled, their weapons raised. Palpatine, standing, his voice cold, so. The Keyblade warrior interferes. John, walking toward him, you've been feeding on fear. On darkness. You rigged a war that killed millions, just so you could seize power. Palpatine, smiling, thin, cruel, I brought stability. I brought order. The Republic was corrupt. The Jedi were blind. Only I had the vision too. John, cutting him off, you had appetite. Not vision. He raised the Keyblade. Palpatine, his eyes glowing, you think your light can defeat me? I am the dark side incarnate. John, calmly, no. You're just a man who forgot how to love. He struck, not at Palpatine's body, at his heart. The Keyblade's light pierced the Chancellor's chest, not killing him, but revealing him. The dark side corruption burned away, layer by layer, until Palpatine collapsed to the ground, not a Sith Lord, but an old, broken man. Palpatine, whispering, what have you done? John, looking down at him, I showed the galaxy who you really are. Behind him, the holographic projectors flickered, broadcasting Palpatine's confession across the entire Republic. Every world, every system, every person. The war was over. The new council. Location: the Jedi Temple, Council Chambers. Dawn. The Jedi Council had changed. Mace Windu sat in his chair, not as a general, but as a teacher. Yoda sat beside him, his eyes no longer clouded by darkness. Obi-Wan stood near the window, watching the sunrise. And at the center of the room, Anakin Skywalker knelt. Mace, to Anakin, you have walked the edge of darkness, Knight Skywalker. You have seen what you could become. He paused. And you chose the light. Anakin, his voice steady, I had help. He looked at John, who stood in the corner, Stitch on his shoulder, watching quietly. Mace, nodding, the Jedi have much to learn. About emotion. About attachment. About fear. He looked at John. Perhaps we have been too rigid. Yoda, his voice soft, a new path, we must walk. Not suppress our feelings, but understand them. Obi-Wan, turning from the window, we have a lot of work to do. Anakin, standing, we'll do it together. The keyhole. Location: Coruscant, the Jedi Temple roof. Dawn. John stood on the temple roof, looking out at the city planet below. The keyhole appeared above him, not golden, but silver, shimmering with the light of a million stars. John, raising the Keyblade, this galaxy, it's not about the Force. It's not about Jedi or Sith. It's about choice. The choice to be better. The choice to love. John. Lock. Light flowed. The keyhole solidified. The galaxy was safe. Anakin. Walking up behind him, you're leaving. John. Turning, other worlds need me. Anakin. Quietly, I owe you everything. John. Shaking his head, you owe me nothing. Just, be the father your children need. The husband Padme deserves. The hero this galaxy believes you can be. Anakin. Extending his hand, I will try. John shook it. Stitch. From John's shoulder, waving, Stitch, proud of you, Skywalker man. Anakin. Almost smiling, thank you. Stitch. The farewell. Location: Coruscant, the Jedi Temple, Docking Bay. Dawn. John stood at the edge of the portal, Keyblade raised, Stitch on his shoulder. Padme stood beside Anakin, her hand in his, her belly round with unborn twins. Padme. To John, you saved him. You saved all of us. John. Smiling, he saved himself. I just showed him the door. Anakin. Will you come back? John. Meeting his eyes, if you need me. Anakin. Nodding, then I hope we never need you. But I'm glad you came. John stepped through the portal. Stitch waved, and the light swallowed them both. The Wizard's Tower, return. Location, the Wizard's Tower, the library. Evening. John sat on the couch, staring at the fire. Stitch was already asleep, curled in his lap, one paw twitching as he dreamed. Wizard, from his chair, you saved a galaxy. John, quietly, I stopped a war. Wizard, you changed the future. Billions of lives, trillions, will be better because of what you did today. John, looking at the keyblade, Anakin did the hard part. He chose to change. Wizard, smiling because you gave him a reason to. John was silent for a long moment. John, the creator wasn't there. Not in that galaxy. Not in that war. Wizard, his expression darkening, no. He wasn't. John, where is he? Wizard, looking out the window, at the stars, waiting. Planning, growing. John, his jaw tightening, then I need to get stronger. Wizard, you will. But not tonight. He stood, walking toward the door. Tonight, you rest. You heal. You remember why you fight. John looked down at Stitch, the little blue alien who had been designed to destroy, who had chosen to love. John, quietly, I fight for them. All of them. The worlds I've saved. The people I've met. He looked at the wizard. The ones I've promised to come back to. Wizard, nodding, then don't break those promises. He left. John sat in the firelight, Stitch warm in his lap, and thought about the future. Merida, Raya, Mulan, Belle, Elsa, and now, a galaxy full of people who had a second chance because one man had chosen to believe in choice. John, to himself, one step at a time. The fire crackled. Stitch snored, and somewhere, in the darkness between worlds, the creator watched, and waited. Chapter 9, The Heart of the Ocean. Location, the Wizard's Tower, the library. Dawn, after Star Wars. John sat cross-legged on the library floor, the keyblade across his lap, his eyes closed. Stitch was upside down on the couch, his feet in the air, snoring softly. The wizard had gone to his chambers hours ago, leaving John alone with the fire and his thoughts. The keyblade pulsed, not urgently, not desperately, warmly, like it was trying to tell him something important. John, opening his eyes, what is it? The keyblade's light shifted, showing him an image. An ocean. Endless, blue, living. A girl on a boat, her dark hair whipping in the wind, her voice raised in song. And beneath the waves, something ancient. Something waiting. John, standing, another world. Another heart in need. Stitch, waking up, yawning, Stitch feel it. Ocean. Big water. Stitch no like water. John, almost smiling, you'll be fine. I'll carry you. Stitch, hopping onto his shoulder, Stitch hold on tight. John raised the keyblade. The portal opened, blue and green, shimmering like sunlight on waves. He stepped through, and the ocean swallowed them both. World number 9, Motu Nui, the island of the living. Location, the South Pacific, Motu Nui Island. Time, dawn, the festival of the wayfinding. John emerged from the portal on a beach of white sand. The air was warm, humid, fragrant with flowers and salt. Palm trees swayed in the breeze. In the distance, a village of wooden huts nestled against the green hills. And the ocean hummed, not like waves, like a heartbeat. Stitch, looking around, his ears perked, Stitch like this place. Smells, happy. John, scanning the beach, the keyblade brought us here for a reason. Someone on this island is connected to something bigger. Something older. Voice, from behind them, booming and cheerful, well. What do we have here? John turned. A man stood on a rock, massive, tattooed, his dark hair pulled back, his body covered in intricate designs that moved when he moved. He carried a giant fish hook that gleamed with otherworldly light. Maui, grinning, a keyblade warrior. Haven't seen one of those in centuries. John, surprised, you know about keyblades. Maui, hopping off the rock, landing in front of them, I'm Maui. Shapeshifter, demigod, hero of men. I've been around, seen things. He looked at Stitch. That's a weird-looking chicken. Stitch, offended, Stitch not chicken. Stitch is Stitch. Maui, laughing, I like him. John, still processing, you said you've seen keyblade warriors before. How many? Maui, shrugging, a few. They come, They lock the world's heart, they leave. But you, he studied Jaune. You're different. Your light is warm, not like the others. They were, duty-bound. You actually care. Jaune, quietly, is that so strange? Maui, his grin fading, just slightly, in my experience. Yeah, it is. Moana, the chosen one. The village was celebrating. The festival of wayfinding, a tradition revived by the village chief's daughter, a young woman with dark hair, brown skin, and eyes that held the depth of the ocean itself. Moana, standing at the center of the celebration, her voice strong, we are the children of voyagers. The sea is in our blood. And we will never forget that again. The villagers cheered. Jaune watched from the edge of the crowd, Stitch on his shoulder, Maui beside him. Jaune, to Maui, she's the one, isn't she? The heart of this world. Maui, nodding, Moana. She restored the heart of Te Fiti. Saved the islands. Convinced a cranky old demigod to stop being selfish. He glanced at Jaune. She's something else. Jaune, watching her, I can see that. Moana's eyes found him across the crowd. She stopped mid-sentence. Moana, walking toward him, you're not from Motunui. Jaune, shaking his head, no. I'm Jaune. This is Stitch. Stitch, waving, Stitch like your necklace. Moana touched the heart of Te Fiti, the spiral shell that hung around her neck, still pulsing with faint green light. Moana, this was the heart of an island goddess. My grandmother said it chose me. She looked at Jaune's keyblade. That looks like it chose you. Jaune, surprised, you can see it. Moana, the ocean shows me things. It showed me you, falling through the sky, light pouring from your hands. She stepped closer. Why are you here? Jaune, honestly, I don't know yet. But the keyblade brought me to this world. To you. Moana studied his face. Moana, finally, then let's find out why. The Heartless, Te Ka's remnant. Location, the ocean, beyond the reef. Night. Moana sailed her canoe beyond the reef, Jaune beside her, Stitch curled in the bow. Maui flew overhead, transformed into a hawk, his hook gleaming in the moonlight. Moana, her hand on the heart of Te Fiti, the darkness returned. 3 moons ago. Not Te Ka, something new. Something hungrier. Jaune, heartless. Moana, is that what they're called? Jaune, nodding, they feed on darkness in people's hearts. Fear, anger, loss. Your world has a lot of healing left to do. The Heartless are taking advantage of that. Moana, quietly, my grandmother said the darkness would never fully leave. That the heart of Te Fiti healed the land, but the memory of the darkness would always remain. Jaune, she was right. The ocean churned. A massive shape rose from the depths, not Te Ka, but something born of her remains. A Heartless made of magma and ash, its eyes burning with hatred. Heartless, its voice a grinding rumble, the heart, the heart. Give me the heart. Moana, clutching the shell, it wants Te Fiti's light. Jaune, armor deploying, keyblade blazing, it can't have it. He leapt. The battle, keyblade and hook. Jaune struck the Heartless, keyblade carving through magma, but the creature regenerated, its body knitting back together. Jaune, landing on the canoe, breathing hard, it's healing too fast. Maui, transforming back to human, landing beside him, hook raised, then we hit it harder. He threw his hook, the massive weapon spinning through the air, striking the Heartless in its chest. The creature screamed, but didn't fall. Moana, her voice sharp, the heart. It's not attacking the heart, it's protecting something. Jaune looked where she was pointing. Beneath the Heartless, chained to the ocean floor, was a keyhole. Not the world's keyhole, something smaller. A piece of darkness that had been implanted. Jaune, realizing, someone put that there. Someone chained this world's heart. Moana, who? Jaune, his jaw tightening, an old enemy. He raised the keyblade. Jaune, arc light. The holy light struck the chains, and they shattered. The Heartless screamed, its connection to the darkness severed, and dissolved into the waves. The keyhole floated free. Jaune, to Moana, the heart of your world. It's been locked from the outside. Someone didn't want this world to heal. Moana, stepping forward, the spiral shell glowing, the ocean showed me you because you could unlock it. Jaune, nodding, but I need your help. Your light, your heart. Moana placed her hand on the keyblade. The heart of Te Fiti blazed. Jaune and Moana, together, lock. The keyhole opened, not closed, but freed. Light poured out, washing over the ocean, healing the scars the Heartless had left behind. Moana, gasping, I felt that. All of it, the whole ocean, breathed. John, lowering the keyblade, the world's heart was trapped. Now it's free. Maui, landing on the canoe, grinning, not bad, keyblade boy. Not bad at all. The vision, the creator's move. Location, the ocean, the canoe. Late night, the stars were bright. Moana sat in the bow, her hand in the water, feeling the ocean's renewed heartbeat. Maui was curled in the stern, already asleep. Stitch was on John's shoulder, snoring softly. Moana, without turning, you're thinking about something. Something dark. John, quietly, the being who chained your world's heart. His name is the Creator. He wants my heart, my light. He's been following me across worlds. Moana, turning to face him, and you've been running. John, shaking his head, no. I've been learning, growing stronger, meeting people like you, remembering why I fight. Moana, studying him, my grandmother used to say that the strongest people aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who fall, and get back up. John, almost smiling, she sounds wise. Moana, she was. The keyblade pulsed, urgently, desperately. John, standing, something's wrong. The keyblade showed him an image. Remnant, his home world. And the Arc clan, his parents, his sisters, being consumed by darkness. Heartless pouring out of their hearts, feeding on their greed, their cruelty, their fear. John, horrified, no. No. Moana, grabbing his arm, what is it? John, his voice cracking, my world. The people who abandoned me. They're being consumed. The darkness is spreading. Moana, firmly, then go. Save them. John, looking at her, even after what they did to me. Moana, holding his gaze, you're not them, John. You're better. You're kinder. And kindness isn't about saving people who deserve it. It's about saving people who need it. John stared at her. John, quietly, you sound like her. Moana, like who? John, my grandmother. Before she died, she told me I was meant for more. That my heart was bigger than my family's cruelty. He touched the keyblade. I didn't believe her. Not until now. He stood. John, I have to go. Moana, standing with him, I know. John, but I'll come back. I promise. Moana, touching his cheek, then don't break your promise. She kissed him. Not like Merita's fierce cheek. Not like Raya's desperate lips. Not like Mulan's gentle gratitude. Not like Belle's thankful warmth. Not like Elsa's deep fear. Hopeful. Moana, pulling back, that's for freeing my world's heart. And for reminding me that there are still good people out there. John, his heart pounding, I, thank you. Stitch, waking up, Stitch miss another kiss. Maui, from the stern, not opening his eyes, you're getting slow, little guy. Stitch, crossing his arms, Stitch not slow. Stitch just, resting eyes. The keyhole, the world's heart. Location, Motunui, the beach. Dawn. John stood at the water's edge, keyblade raised. The world's keyhole appeared above the ocean, golden, warm, free. John, quietly, this world, it's not about demigods or goddesses. It's about voyaging, about trusting the ocean, trusting yourself, trusting that the horizon holds something better. John, lock, light flowed, the keyhole solidified, the world was safe. Moana, beside him, you'll come back. John, meeting her eyes, I will. Moana, promise. John, touching his keyblade, I promise. He raised the portal, not to another world, but to Remnant. His home, the place he had run from. Moana, watching him go, be careful, keyblade warrior. John, stepping through, I always am. Stitch, waving, Stitch come back. Stitch bring snacks. The portal closed. Moana stood alone on the beach, the ocean lapping at her feet, her hand on the heart of Te Fiti. Moana, quietly come back soon. The waves answered. Interlude. Remnant, the Arc Estate. Location. Vale, the Arc Estate. Same time, night. The estate was beautiful. Stone walls. Manicured gardens. Chandeliers that had cost more than most families earned in a lifetime. But beneath the beauty, darkness festered. Jacques Arc sat in his study, his face twisted with greed as he counted his coins. Heartless tendrils curled around his ankles, feeding on his avarice, growing stronger. Isabelle Arc stood in the garden, her sharp tongue cutting down a servant. The Heartless fed on her cruelty, their eyes glowing brighter. Cerise, saffron, basil, azure, lapis, lazuli, lavender, each of them consumed by their own darkness. Envy, pride, hatred. None of them noticed the shadows growing longer. None of them noticed the Heartless multiplying. And none of them noticed the portal opening in the courtyard, or the keyblade warrior who stepped through, his armor gleaming, his eyes burning. John, looking at the estate, at the place that had rejected him, I didn't come back for you. The Heartless turned. John, raising the keyblade, I came back for Remnant. He charged. Chapter 10, The Reckoning. Location: Remnant, the Arc Estate. Night, the heart of darkness. The portal closed behind John. He stood in the courtyard of the Arc Estate, the place where he had been born, abandoned, and forgotten. The gardens were overgrown. The fountains were dry. The stone walls were cracked. And everywhere, darkness. Heartless clung to the walls like parasites. Shadows slithered across the grass. The air was thick with despair. Decades of greed, cruelty, and neglect had festered. Stitch. On John's shoulder, his ears flat. Stitch, no, like this place. Smells like rot. John, his voice quiet, cold. That's not the house. That's the people inside. He walked toward the front door. It opened before he could knock. The Arc clan, consumed. Cerise Arc stood in the doorway. She was older now, sharper, harder. Her eyes were hollow, ringed with darkness. Heartless tendrils curled around her arms like serpents. Cerise, smiling, cruel, empty. Well. If it isn't the disappointment. John, not reacting. Cerise, stepping closer. Mother said you would come back eventually. Said the weak always crawl home when they can't survive on their own. John, quietly, I'm not here for you. Cerise, laughing, then why are you here, little brother? John, meeting her eyes, to save you. Whether you want it or not. Cerise's smile faltered. The darkness surged. The Heartless within. The Arc clan emerged from the shadows, not as people, but as vessels. Jacques Arc, his greed had bloated him, turned his skin gray, his eyes black. Isabelle Arc, her cruelty had sharpened her into something pointed, her words becoming literal weapons of darkness. Saffron, basil, azure, lapis, lazuli, lavender, each of them twisted by their own sins. Envy, pride, wrath. John, looking at them, his family, his abusers, you did this to yourselves. Jacques, his voice a grinding rumble, we embraced the darkness. It gave us power, purpose. John, raising the keyblade, it gave you chains. Jacques, laughing, and what do you have, boy? A fancy key, a glowing suit, you think light can save you. John, calmly, I don't need saving. He stepped forward. John, but you do. The battle, one against many. The Heartless Arc clan attacked. Cerise lunged, her claws extended, darkness trailing behind her like a shroud. John sidestepped, keyblade sweeping, striking her across the chest. She screamed, not in pain, but in fury. Cerise, you were always weak. John, blocking her next strike, I was never weak. You just needed me to be. Saffron came from behind, darkness shaping itself into a blade. John spun, caught the blade on the keyblade's teeth, and pushed. Saffron stumbled. Saffron, snarling, stay still. John, no. Basil, azure, lapis, lazuli, lavender. One after another, they came at him, claws, blades, darkness given form. John fought them all, keyblade blazing, armor gleaming. But they were family. And even after everything, some part of him still cared. Stitch, leaping off his shoulder, tackling Azure, Stitch help. Stitch protect. John, breathing hard, Stitch, stay back. Stitch, clinging to Azure's face, claws digging in, Stitch no leave John. Ohana. The darkness surged. The Heartless fed, not on John, on each other. The Arc clan's darkness congealed, merged, grew. A massive Heartless rose from the ground, shaped like a twisted version of the Arc estate itself, with windows for eyes and a front door for a mouth. Jacques, his voice echoing from within the creature, you cannot save us, boy. We are already damned. John, staring at the creature, at his family, maybe. He raised the keyblade. John, but I can still set you free. Arc Heartless, laughing, hundreds of voices at once. With what power? Jaune. His eyes glowing, gold and silver, light and darkness both. The balance, light and dark. The keyblade changed. Not into a different shape, but into something more. The blade split in two, one side blazing gold, the other shadowed silver. Jaune held them both, his armor crackling with energy. Stitch. Staring, Jaune. Jaune different. Jaune. Quietly, the wizard said, Keyblade warriors choose light or darkness. But I've seen both. Felt both. Survived both. He looked at the Arc Heartless. And I know that true strength isn't picking a side. It's understanding that both exist in every heart. He crossed the blades. Jaune. Arc light, dark echo. The light and darkness combined, not destroying each other, but dancing. The blast struck the Arc Heartless, not destroying it, but splitting it. Cracking it open, releasing the people inside, the freedom. Jacques, Isabelle, Cerise, Saffron, Basil, Azure, Lapis, Lazuli, Lavender, they collapsed to the ground, gasping, human again. The darkness had left them. But it had left marks. Gray hair, hollow eyes, shaking hands. Jacques, looking up at Jaune, really looking, you saved us. Jaune, lowering the keyblade, the two blades merging back into one, I freed you. What you do with that freedom is up to you. Isabelle, her voice raw, we abandoned you. We hurt you. Why would you? Jaune, cutting her off because I'm not you. He turned away. Jaune, the darkness is gone from this place. Don't let it come back. Cerise, calling after him, Jaune, wait. He stopped. Not because she asked. Because Stitch was tugging his ear. Jaune, sighing, what? Cerise, her voice breaking, I'm sorry. Jaune was silent for a long moment. Jaune, quietly, that's a start. He walked toward the gates. Stitch waved goodbye. And the Arc clan, broken, battered, free, watched him go. The keyhole, remnant. Location. Vale, the beacon cliff. Dawn. Jaune stood at the edge of the cliff, looking out at the city below. Remnant had changed while he was gone. The kingdoms were still rebuilding. The Grimm were still a threat. But there was hope in the air now. Fragile. Real. Jaune, raising the keyblade, this world, it's not about the Arc clan. It's not about my past. It's about everyone else. The people who kept going. Who chose love over hate. Who believed that tomorrow could be better than today. The keyhole appeared above the city, golden, warm, waiting. Jaune. Lock. Light flowed. The keyhole solidified. Remnant was safe. Stitch. On his shoulder, Jaune, okay. Jaune. Touching Stitch's head, yeah, buddy. I'm okay. Stitch. Snuggling closer, Stitch glad. Jaune looked at the sky. The portal to the next world was already forming, blue and white, streaked with stars. Jaune. One more world. The keyblade says there's a Heartless there. Something powerful. Stitch. Stitch ready. Jaune. Almost smiling, yeah. Me too. He stepped through. And the stars swallowed them both. Chapter 11. To Infinity and Beyond. Location. The lanes between, dimensional corridor. Time. Unknown, after Remnant. Jaune floated through the corridor, Stitch curled on his shoulder, the keyblade pulsing gently in his hand. The battle with the Arc clan had left him tired, not physically, but emotionally. He had freed his family from the darkness, but the wounds they had carved into his heart would take longer to heal. Stitch. Sensing his mood, Jaune sad. Jaune. Quietly, not sad. Just, thinking. Stitch. Stitch think too much. Stitch prefer eat. Jaune. Almost smiling, I know, buddy. The keyblade pulled. Harder than before, not urgent, but eager. Like it was taking him somewhere fun. Jaune. Okay. I'm going. He stepped through the portal. And emerged into space. World number 11. Star Command, the Galactic Alliance. Location. Deep Space, Star Command Headquarters. Time. Unknown, Standard Galactic Time. Jaune floated in zero gravity for approximately 3 seconds before his keyblade armor automatically adjusted, magnetic boots activating, thrusters stabilizing. He landed on a metal platform. Around him, ships. Not like the Axiom's cruise liner design. Not like the prison ship's cold military corridors. These were starfighters, sleek, colorful, designed for speed and combat. And in the distance, a massive space station, Star Command headquarters. Stitch. Looking around, his eyes wide. Stitch in space. Real space. Not fake space. John. Scanning the hangar. This isn't like the other worlds. This is civilization. A whole society out here. Voice. From behind them, sharp and professional. Halt. Identify yourself. John turned. A man stood behind him, tall, square-jawed, wearing a green and purple space suit. His hair was dark, his eyes were determined, and his posture screamed military. But his heart was kind. Buzz Lightyear. His hand on his laser. This is a restricted area. State your name and business. John. Raising his hands, peaceful. My name is John. I'm a keyblade warrior. I go from world to world, helping people trapped by darkness. Buzz. His eyes narrowing. Darkness. You mean Zurg. John. I don't know who Zurg is. But the darkness I'm talking about is older. It feeds on fear, anger, despair. Buzz studied him. Buzz. Lowering his laser, just slightly. You're not from the Galactic Alliance. John. I'm not from this galaxy. Buzz. Processing. That's not the strangest thing I've heard today. Stitch. Waving. Stitch from other galaxy too. Stitch was experiment 626. Buzz stared at the little blue alien. Buzz. You're that Stitch. The one who wrecked half the Galactic Federation's prisons. Stitch. Proudly. Stitch very accomplished. Buzz. Almost smiling. I'll bet. The threat. Zurg's Heartless. Location. Star Command headquarters, briefing room. An hour later. The briefing room was massive, holographic displays showing star systems, threat levels, and a single red dot that pulsed ominously. Buzz. Pointing at the red dot. Emperor Zurg. He's been our enemy for years. But lately, he's changed. Mira Nova. A purple-skinned woman with telepathic abilities. His attacks are more aggressive. His army is different. They don't fight like his usual robots. Booster. A large, blue, happy-go-lucky alien. They're all shadowy and screamy. I don't like them. John. Quietly. Heartless. Buzz. Turning to him. You keep using that word. John. Because that's what they are. Heartless. Creatures born from darkness. Someone is feeding Zurg's hatred, using him to spread the darkness across your galaxy. Buzz. Who? John. His jaw tightening. An old enemy. He calls himself the Creator. Mira. Her telepathy flickering. I can't read anything about this Creator. It's like he doesn't exist. John. Because he doesn't. Not in this galaxy. He lives between worlds. Buzz. Processing. Then how do we stop him? John. We don't. Not yet. But we can stop Zurg. Cut off the Creator's supply of darkness. Buzz. Nodding. Then that's what we'll do. The infiltration. Zurg's fortress. Location. The Gamma Quadrant. Zurg's fortress. Night Galactic Standard Time. The fortress was massive, a twisted metal structure floating in an asteroid field, surrounded by Heartless. Not the small ones John had fought before. Warships. Heartless capital ships, their hulls pulsing with dark energy. Buzz. In his starfighter, flying beside John, who was flying under his own power, keyblade armor thrusters blazing. You can fly. John. Grinning despite himself. Keyblade armor. It has perks. Stitch. Clinging to John's back, whooping. Stitch like flying. Mira. Comms. I'm picking up massive energy readings from the fortress. Whatever Zurg is planning, it's happening now. Buzz. Then we're not late. We're right on time. They breached the fortress walls. Zurg. The Dark Emperor. The throne room was vast, catwalks suspended over a pit of darkness, holographic screens showing Zurg's conquests, and at the center, a massive purple figure hunched over a pulsing black orb. Emperor Zurg. Not turning around. Buzz Lightyear. Always so predictable. Buzz. Landing on the catwalk, laser raised. Zurg. Your reign of terror ends today. Zurg. Turning, his red eyes glowing, his face twisted by darkness. You misunderstand, Buzz. I am not the villain here. He stepped aside. Behind him, the black orb opened, revealing a Heartless unlike any John had seen before. Massive, multi-limbed. Its body was made of shattered starships, its eyes were dying suns. Zurg. His voice trembling, not with rage, with fear. I didn't create this. It created me. John. Stepping forward. The Creator. Heartless, its voice a grinding chorus of a million lost souls, the Keyblade warrior. You have caused me much trouble. Jaune, raising the Keyblade, good. Heartless, its eyes narrowing, you cannot destroy me. I am the darkness between worlds. I am the absence of light. Jaune, then I'll fill you with it. He charged. The battle, Keyblade versus the Heartless warship. The Heartless was massive, every strike Jaune landed was absorbed, fed. Jaune, panting, it's not working. Buzz, firing his laser at the creature's limbs, then hit it together. Mira, using her telepathy to confuse the Heartless, its mind is fractured. It's not one creature, it's thousands. Booster, slamming into the Heartless with his ship, then we hit it everywhere at once. Stitch, leaping from Jaune's shoulder, tearing through the Heartless's smaller tendrils, Stitch break. Stitch smash. But the Heartless kept regenerating. Jaune, realizing it's feeding on Zurg. His fear, his hatred. As long as Zurg is connected to it, we can't destroy it. Zurg's eyes went wide. Zurg, backing away, no, I can't. Jaune, grabbing Zurg's arm, listen to me. I know what it's like to be consumed by darkness. To believe you're too far gone. But you're not. Zurg, his voice breaking, I've done terrible things. Things that can never be forgiven. Jaune, maybe, but you can still choose. Right now, choose to let go. Zurg looked at the Heartless, at the monster he had become, and then at Buzz. Zurg, quietly, I wanted to rule the galaxy because I was afraid. Afraid of being forgotten. Afraid of being nothing. Buzz, his voice softer, you're not nothing, Zurg. You're just lost. Zurg closed his eyes. Zurg, whispering, then show me the way back. Jaune raised the Keyblade. Jaune, heart forge. The light didn't strike Zurg, it embraced him. The darkness peeled away, layer by layer, until Zurg collapsed, not a monster, but an old, tired being. The Heartless screamed. Without Zurg's darkness to feed it, the creature began to crumble. Jaune, to Buzz now. Buzz, raising his laser for Star Command. He fired. The Heartless exploded. The keyhole, the Galactic Alliance. Location, Star Command Headquarters, the observation deck. Dawn, Galactic Standard Time. The keyhole appeared above the observation deck, golden, warm, massive. Jaune, raising the Keyblade, this galaxy, it's not about Zurg or Buzz or Star Command. It's about exploration. About reaching for something beyond yourself. About believing that the stars are meant for everyone. Jaune, lock, light flowed. The keyhole solidified. The galaxy was safe. Buzz, standing beside him, you're leaving. Jaune, other worlds need me. Buzz, extending his hand, then go. But know that Star Command is always here. If you need us. Jaune, shaking his hand, same to you. Mira, hugging him, surprising them both, you're a good person, Jaune Archer. Jaune, awkward, thank you. Booster, picking up Stitch, and you're a great little alien. Stitch, grinning, Stitch knows. The farewell. Location, Star Command Headquarters, the hangar. Dawn, Jaune stood at the edge of the hangar, portal open, Stitch on his shoulder. Buzz, will you come back? Jaune, meeting his eyes, if you need me. Buzz, almost smiling, then I hope we never need you. But I'm glad you came. Jaune, stepping through to infinity and beyond. Buzz, surprised, that's my line. Jaune, grinning, I know. The portal closed. Buzz stood alone in the hangar, watching the spot where the Keyblade warrior had disappeared. Buzz, quietly, to infinity and beyond. The Wizard's Tower, return. Location, the Wizard's Tower, the library. Evening. Jaune sat on the couch, staring at the fire. Stitch was curled in his lap, already asleep, one paw twitching. The wizard sat across from him, sipping tea. Wizard, you freed Zurg. Jaune, he was trapped. Just like the Arc clan. Just like Anakin. Wizard, setting down his tea, you're learning, Jaune. That's the secret most Keyblade warriors never understand. Jaune, what's that? Wizard, that the greatest darkness isn't in monsters. It's in people who forgot they were once good. Jaune was silent for a long moment. Jaune, the creator wasn't there. Not really. That Heartless was just a piece of him. Wizard, nodding, the creator is cautious. He sends fragments of himself, testing you, learning your weaknesses. Jaune, His jaw tightening. Then I need to stop giving him time to learn. Wizard, and you will. But not tonight. John looked down at Stitch, the little blue alien who had been designed to destroy, who had chosen to love. John, quietly, tonight, I rest. Wizard, smiling, that's all I ask. Chapter 12. Eclipse City, A New Hope. Location. Remnant, the Empty Lands, former Grim territory. 6 months after the Arc clan's freedom, dawn. The sun rose over a place that had been empty for as long as anyone could remember. Barren plains. Dead soil. A wound in the world where Grim had once spawned like maggots from rotten flesh. But now, the plains were changing. Construction drones moved in perfect synchronization, laying foundations, raising walls, assembling structures that gleamed under the morning light. Clone troopers, free, autonomous, human, directed traffic alongside Star Command security officers. And at the center of it all, a tower rose toward the sky, not cold and sterile, but welcoming. A lighthouse. A promise. John Archer stood on a hill overlooking the construction, his keyblade armor stored, his traveler's gear dusted with ash and optimism. Stitch sat on his shoulder, eating a sandwich that was half the size of his body. Stitch. Mouth full. Stitch, like this place. Smells like new. John. Quietly, that's the point. He had spent months traveling between worlds, not fighting, not locking keyholes, but building. Collecting resources. Making alliances. Gathering people who believed in something better. Eclipse City was the result. A nation built not on conquest or greed, but on freedom. A place where anyone, human, faunus, alien, robot, could start over. The foundation, what John built. Location. Eclipse City, the Central Plaza. Morning. The plaza was already alive with activity. Clone troopers, wearing new armor, painted in Eclipse City's colors gold and silver, with a keyblade as the emblem, patrolled the streets. Not as soldiers, but as peacekeepers. Volunteers who had chosen to protect rather than conquer. Captain Rex stood at the plaza's center, directing traffic, his helmet off, his face creased with something that looked like happiness. Rex, to John, as he approached, never thought I'd see the day. Clones building something instead of destroying it. John, smiling, you're not destroying anything anymore, Rex. You're protecting. Rex, snorting, same job. Different reasons. John, that's the difference that matters. Behind them, Star Command troopers, trained by Buzz Lightyear himself, ran drills in the courtyard. Their armor was sleeker than the clones, their weapons more advanced. But their hearts were the same. Buzz, walking up beside John, your training regimen is brutal. John, the heartless won't go easy on them. Neither can I. Buzz, nodding, fair point. The robots, second chances. Location. Eclipse City, the robotics yard. Morning. Not all the inhabitants of Eclipse City were organic. John had found them scattered across the multiverse, abandoned Axiom drones, deactivated battle droids, lost machines that had been left to rust. He had repaired them, given them purpose. Wally, who had insisted on coming, rolled through the yard, beeping happily as he directed a team of construction drones. Beside him, a squad of B-2 super battle droids, repurposed, reprogrammed, free, lifted steel beams into place. Wally, beeping, Wally. Wally. John, kneeling down, you're doing great, buddy. Wally, tilted his head, Wally, Miss Eve. John, softly, she's back on the Axiom. But you can visit her whenever you want. That's the point of this place. Freedom. Wally beeped happily and rolled away. Stitch, watching him go, Stitch like Trash Bot. Trash Bot has heart. John, they all do. They just needed someone to remind them. The Sanctuary, Mia. Location. Eclipse City, the Animal Sanctuary. Afternoon. John had always loved elephants. Not because they were powerful. Because they were gentle. They remembered. They grieved. They took care of each other in ways that most humans never learned. The sanctuary was his favorite part of Eclipse City. Lush vegetation. A massive pond. Trees that had been transplanted from half a dozen worlds. And at the center of it all, a female Asian elephant, no tusks, her skin gray and wrinkled, her eyes ancient and knowing. Mia, trumpeting softly as John approached. John, walking up to her, placing his hand on her trunk, hey, girl. How are you feeling? Mia rumbled, a deep, vibrating sound that seemed to come from the earth itself. She had followed him out of an Asian jungle 3 months ago, appearing out of nowhere, refusing to leave his side. Stitch. From John's shoulder. Stitch, think Mia like John. John. Scratching behind her ear, I think she just knows I need reminding. That not everything is about fighting. Mia wrapped her trunk around his arm, gently, lovingly, and pulled him closer. John. Laughing, okay, I'll stay a while. The tower, a symbol of freedom. Location. Eclipse City, the central tower, top floor. Evening. The tower was the tallest structure in the city, visible from every corner, from every district. Its top floor was a single room with glass walls, looking out over everything John had built. Ozpin stood at the window, his cane in his hands, his eyes distant. He had come uninvited, but John hadn't turned him away. Ozpin. Quietly, you've done something extraordinary, John. Something I failed to do for centuries. John. Standing beside him, you were fighting a war. I just built a home. Ozpin. Shaking his head, that's not nothing. That's everything. He turned to face John. Ozpin. The Heartless. I've encountered them before. In the early days of Remnant, when the Grimm were new. I thought they were the same. But they're not. John. The Grimm feed on negative emotions. The Heartless consume hearts. They're similar, but Heartless are worse. Ozpin. His jaw tightening, and now, they're merging. John's blood went cold. John. What? Ozpin. Pulling out his scroll, showing John footage 3 days ago. A Grimm attack in Mistral. But the Grimm weren't alone. They were accompanied by Heartless. And when the two touched, the footage showed a Beowulf and a Shadow merging, their bodies twisting, combining, becoming something new. Something worse. Ozpin. Salem has found allies. Not just on Remnant. From other worlds. The Alliance of Evil. Location. The Grimlands, Salem's castle. Same time, night. Salem sat on her throne, her pale fingers steepled, her red eyes glowing with satisfaction. Around her, a table had been set, not for dinner, but for war. Emperor Zerg sat to her left, his purple armor gleaming, his red eyes still flickering with the remnants of the heartless corruption that John had purged. He was not fully healed. And he was angry. Zerg. His voice a low growl, the Keyblade warrior humiliated me. Freed me. Made me weak. Salem. Smiling, then let us return the favor. Syndrome sat across from her, his red hair wild, his 0-point energy gloves crackling. He had been pulled from his world moments before his death, offered a second chance by a being who called himself the Creator. Syndrome. Grinning, I've always wanted to crush a hero. This one sounds fun. General Grievous stood in the corner, his forearms crossed, his yellow eyes burning. He had been pulled from the Clone Wars, rescued from his burning ship by the same dark power that had saved Syndrome. Grievous, coughing, his mechanical voice scraping, a Keyblade warrior. I have collected many lightsabers. A Keyblade would be a fine addition. Others filled the room, villains from across the multiverse, pulled from their dying moments, offered power and purpose by Salem and her mysterious benefactor. Salem, standing, the Keyblade warrior believes he can save everyone. He believes in hope, in redemption. Her eyes hardened. Let us show him how fragile hope truly is. The villains cheered. And somewhere, in the shadows at the back of the room, a figure watched, cloaked, masked, patient. The Creator. He said nothing. He didn't need to. The trap was already set. The warning. Location. Eclipse City, the central tower. Same time, night. John stared at the footage, his fists clenched. Ozpin. Salem has gathered allies from across the multiverse. Zerg. Syndrome. Grievous. Others we haven't identified. John. Quietly, the Creator. He's pulling them from their dying moments. Giving them a second chance, not at redemption, but at revenge. Ozpin. Can you stop them? John. Looking out at the city, at everything he had built, I have too. Stitch. On his shoulder, his ears flat, Stitch scared. But Stitch fight. John. Touching Stitch's head, I know, buddy. His scroll buzzed. He looked down. Message from Merida. The stars are wrong, John. Something dark is coming. We feel it in Dunbrock. Come home. Message from Raya. Kumandra's dragons are restless. The Droon are stirring again, but different. Darker. John, please. Message from Mulan. The spirits are screaming. War is coming. Not between kingdoms, between worlds. Message from Belle. The rose wilted. Adam is pale. Something is poisoning our world. John, we need you. Message from Elsa. The north wind brought me a vision. Salem. Allies. An army. John, wherever you are, don't face this alone. Message from Moana. The ocean showed me. Darkness is spreading. Not just in one world, in all of them. John, gather your friends. We're coming to you. John stared at the messages. His heart pounded. John, quietly, they're coming. All of them. Ozpin, the princesses. John, nodding, and their armies. Their worlds. Their hope. He looked out at Eclipse City, at the lights flickering on in the windows, at the people going about their lives, at the future he had built. John, Salem wants a war. He turned to Ozpin. John, then we'll give her one. Chapter 13. The Gathering, Princesses of Light. Location. Remnant, Eclipse City, the Central Plaza. 3 days after the warning, dawn. The plaza had been transformed. Banners hung from every lamppost, not just Eclipse City's gold and silver, but colors from a dozen worlds. Green for Dunbrock. Gold and blue for Kumandra. Red and black for ancient China. Gold and rose for the Enchanted Forest. Ice blue and white for Arendelle. Deep blue and green for Motunui. John stood at the center of the plaza, his keyblade armor stored, his traveler's gear brushed clean. Stitch sat on his shoulder, wearing a tiny bow tie that he had insisted on. Stitch. Adjusting the bow tie, Stitch look handsome. John. Almost smiling, you look ridiculous. Stitch. Stitch look handsome and ridiculous. Both can be true. Behind them, Captain Rex stood with a squad of clone troopers, their armor polished, their weapons holstered, their posture respectful. Buzz Lightyear stood beside them, his space suit gleaming, Miranova and Booster flanking him. Buzz. Quietly, you're nervous. John. I'm not nervous. I'm anticipating. Buzz. Same thing. John. Sighing, I know. The first arrival, Merida of Dunbrock. The portal opened over the eastern gate, green and gold, swirling like a forest in autumn. A massive war horse galloped through, its hooves striking sparks on the stone. On its back, a young woman with wild red hair, a bow slung across her back, and a fierce smile that could start a revolution. Merida. Leaping off her horse, landing in front of John. You're still standing. Good. I was worried you'd done something stupid without me. John. Smiling despite himself, I saved a few worlds. Freed my family from darkness. Built a city. You know. Nothing stupid. Merida. Punching his arm, that's my line. Behind her, more riders emerged from the portal, dozens of them. Scotsmen in kilts, archers in green, and at the front, a massive bear of a man with a booming laugh. King Fergus, dismounting, clapping John on the shoulder so hard he staggered, the Keyblade warrior. Merida hasn't stopped talking about you. Merida. Her face turning crimson. Da. I told you. Fergus. Winking at John, she's a terrible liar. Always has been. Queen Eleanor. Dismounting gracefully, her eyes warm, thank you for saving our daughter. And our kingdom. John. Bowing slightly, your daughter saved herself, your majesty. I just pointed her in the right direction. Eleanor. Studying him, a humble hero. How refreshing. Merida. Grabbing John's arm, come on. I want to see this city you built. She dragged him toward the plaza, Stitch laughing on his shoulder. The second arrival, Raya of Kumandra. The portal opened over the western gate, gold and blue, shimmering like sunlight on water. A massive dragon flew through, not Sisu, she was too large for portals, but a younger dragon, smaller, sleeker. On its back, a young woman with dark hair, a sword at her hip, and eyes that had seen too much loss. Raya. Sliding off the dragon, landing gracefully, John. John. Walking toward her, Raya. She didn't punch him. She didn't shake his hand. She hugged him, fierce, desperate, relieved. Raya. Muffled against his chest, I thought you were dead. When the darkness came back, I thought. John. Holding her, I'm not dead. I'm here. I promised. Raya. Pulling back, wiping her eyes, you're a terrible promise keeper. You were gone for months. John. I was building. Look. He gestured at the city. I built this for people like us. People who needed a home. Raya looked around, at the towers, the gardens, the people living. Raya, quietly, my father would have loved this. John, then he's welcome here. All of Kumandra is welcome. Behind her, more warriors emerged from the portal, the tribes of Kumandra united. Talon, Spine, Fang, Heart, Chief Varana, General Anataya, Namari, her eyes still carrying guilt but her posture hopeful. Namari, to John, I owe you an apology. For doubting you. John, shaking his head, you don't owe me anything. Just, help us protect what we've built. Namari, nodding, that, I can do. The third arrival, Mulan of China. The portal opened over the southern gate, red and gold, fierce as a war banner. An army marched through, not hundreds, but thousands. Soldiers in black and red armor, their faces painted with determination. And at their head, a woman in green robes, her sword still stained with the blood of the last battle. Mulan, walking toward John, her eyes sharp, you look tired. John, smiling wearily, I've been busy. Mulan, stopping in front of him, busy saving worlds. Building cities. Forgetting to sleep. John, how did you? Mulan, touching his face, I know you, John Archer. Better than you think. She didn't hug him. She didn't cry. She just stood there, her hand on his cheek, her eyes seeing him. Mulan, quietly, you're not alone anymore. You don't have to carry this by yourself. John, his voice thick, I know. I'm learning. Behind her, the Emperor of China emerged from the portal, old, wise, leaning on a dragon-headed staff. Emperor, to John, Shang told me about you. The keyblade warrior who saved his daughter's life. Who saved China. John, bowing, Your Majesty. I only did what was right. Emperor, smiling, that is what heroes say. What true heroes say. Mulan, rolling her eyes, he's going to get insufferable now. John, I'm already insufferable. Mulan, almost smiling, I know. The fourth arrival, Belle of the Enchanted Forest. The portal opened over the northern gate, golden rose, soft as a fairy tale. A carriage rolled through, not a pumpkin, but something more. A carriage of enchanted glass, pulled by horses that shimmered with magic. Inside, a woman with brown hair, a book in her hands, and a smile that had tamed a beast. Belle, stepping out of the carriage, closing her book, you built a city. John, walking toward her, I had help. Belle, looking around, it's beautiful. The architecture is a mix of a dozen different styles, Gothic, Asian, Polynesian, modern. It shouldn't work, but it does. John, surprised, you noticed. Belle, tapping her book, I notice everything. Behind her, the beast, Adam, stepped out of the carriage, his human form still new to him, his movements still uncertain. Adam, to John, you saved my kingdom. My people, me. He extended his hand. I owe you a debt I can never repay. John, shaking his hand, then don't repay it. Just, be happy. That's thanks enough. Adam, looking at Belle, I'm trying. Lumiere and Cogsworth emerged from the carriage, bickering as always. Mrs. Potts and Chip followed, carrying tea. Plumette floated behind them, her feather duster tucked under her arm. Mrs. Potts, to John, we brought tea. Lots of tea. You look like you need it. John, grateful, I really do. The fifth arrival, Elsa of Arendelle. The portal opened over the northeastern gate, ice blue and white, cold as winter but beautiful. Snowflakes drifted through the air, not from the sky, but from the woman who walked through the portal. Her white blonde hair was braided. Her ice blue gown shimmered. And her eyes were no longer afraid. Elsa, walking toward John, the snow melting behind her, you've been busy. John, that seems to be the theme of the day. Elsa, stopping in front of him, I had a vision. Salem, the creator, an army of darkness. She touched his chest, over his heart. And you, standing in the middle of it, refusing to fall. John, quietly, I won't fall. Not while there's still something to fight for. Elsa, her voice soft, you're not fighting alone anymore. Behind her, Anna burst through the portal, her red hair flying, her energy explosive. Anna, grabbing John in a hug, you saved my sister. I love you. Not like that, well, maybe a little like that, but mostly just grateful. John, wheezed, can't breathe. Anna, releasing him, sorry. I get excited. Kristoff followed, carrying a massive block of ice because of course he did. Sven the reindeer trotted beside him, looking confused but happy. Olaf rolled through the portal, literally, he had fallen and was tumbling. Olaf, landing at John's feet. Hi. I'm Olaf. I like warm hugs and the Keyblade warrior. John, staring, you're a snowman. Olaf, I'm a talking snowman. There's a difference. Elsa, sighing, I'm sorry. He insisted on coming. John, kneeling down, extending his hand, nice to meet you, Olaf. Olaf, hugging his leg, I'm going to cry. Stitch, from John's shoulder, Stitch like snowman. Snowman has style. The sixth arrival, Moana of Motunui. The portal opened over the southeastern gate, deep blue and green, alive with the sound of waves. Water poured through the portal, not flooding the plaza, but dancing. Shaping itself into spirals, into arches, into a path for the woman who walked barefoot across the stone. Moana, her dark hair loose, her grandmother's necklace around her throat, the ocean showed me the way. John, walking toward her as the ocean, happy. Moana, smiling, the ocean is always happy when it's helping people. Behind her, the ocean parted, and Maui stepped through, his massive form filling the gateway, his hook gleaming. Maui, grinning, Keyblade boy. You built a city. Not bad for a human. John, not bad for a demigod who gets lost without his hook. Maui, laughing, I like him. Chief Tui and Sina followed, Moana's parents, their faces proud, their eyes hopeful. Tui, to John, you saved our daughter. You saved our island. You saved our people. John, shaking his head, Moana saved herself. I just helped her remember who she was. Sina, touching his cheek, that is what mothers pray for. Someone who sees their children the way they should be seen. John didn't know what to say. So he just stood there, feeling seen. The gathering, the plaza. Location, Eclipse City, the central plaza. Evening, the sun set over Eclipse City, painting the towers in shades of gold and crimson. The plaza was crowded, not with soldiers, but with family. Merita's Scotsmen laughing with Raya's warriors. Mulan's soldiers sharing tea with Belle's servants. Elsa's snowflakes melting on Moana's ocean water. And at the center of it all, the 6 princesses sat around a table, their hands wrapped around cups of Mrs. Potts's tea. Merita, leaning back in her chair, so. Salem, the creator. An army of darkness. She looked at John. Sounds like a fun Tuesday. Raya, her jaw tight, this isn't a joke, Merita. Merita, meeting her eyes, I know. That's why I'm not laughing. Mulan, quietly, we need a plan. Not just to defend, to attack. Salem has been hiding in the Grimlands for centuries. It's time we brought the fight to her. Belle, setting down her tea, but we can't just march in blindly. The creator will have traps. Misdirections. Plans within plans. Elsa, her fingers tracing frost on the table, then we need a counter-plan. Something he can't predict. Moana, looking at John, the ocean showed me something. The Keyblade, it's not just a weapon. It's a bridge. It connects worlds. Connects hearts. John, nodding, the Heart Forge. I can combine my light with someone else's. Make us stronger. But it requires trust. Complete, absolute trust. The princesses looked at each other. Merita, standing, I trust you. Raya, standing, I trust you. Mulan, standing, I trust you. Belle, standing, I trust you. Elsa, standing, I trust you. Moana, standing, smiling, we all trust you, John. That's why we're here. John looked at them, 6 women from 6 worlds, each of them a princess, each of them a warrior, each of them choosing to stand beside him. John, quietly, I don't deserve you. Any of you. Merita, punching his arm, shut up. You deserve good things. You just have to let yourself have them. Raya, taking his hand, we're not going anywhere. Mulan, touching his shoulder, we're in this together. Belle, smiling, together. Elsa, nodding, together. Moana, her hand on her heart, together. The Keyblade blazed, not in warning, but in welcome. The tower, the War Council. Location, Eclipse City, the central tower, top floor. Night, the War Council was crowded. The 6 princesses sat around the central table. Ozpin stood at the window, his cane in his hands. Captain Rex and Buzz Lightyear stood near the door. General Atataya and Chief Verana represented Kumandra. King Fergus and Queen Eleanor represented Dunbrock. The Emperor of China sat in a carved chair, his eyes sharp. Adam and Belle stood together. Elsa and Anna sat side by side. Moana and Maui stood near the map. And John stood at the head of the table, the keyblade resting across his palms. John, Salem has gathered allies from across the multiverse. Zurg, Syndrome, Grievous, others we haven't identified. And she's merged the grim with the heartless, creating something new. Something worse. He touched the map, and it glowed, showing the Grimlands, showing Salem's castle, showing the army gathering in the shadows. John, she's going to attack Eclipse City. Not because she wants the city. Because she wants me, my heart, my keyblade, my light. Merida, fiercely, then we don't let her take it. Raya, we need to hit her before she hits us. Divide her army. Break her alliances. Mulan, studying the map, there are 3 approaches to the Grimlands. We can split our forces, attack from all sides, force her to fight on multiple fronts. Belle, but the creator will expect that. He's been watching John for months. He knows how we think. Elsa, quietly, then we need to think differently. Do something he can't predict. Moana, looking at John, the ocean showed me the keyblade can open more than locks. It can open hearts. What if we don't fight Salem? What if we free her? The room went silent. John, slowly, free her. Moana, she's been corrupted for centuries. The grim poisons her. The darkness consumes her. But underneath, she's just a woman who lost everything. Who is afraid? Ozpin, turning from the window, I have known Salem for millennia. She is not redeemable. Moana, meeting his eyes, that's what people said about Maui. About Zurg. About me, when I stole the heart of Te Fiti. Maui, grumbling, I was very redeemable. John, thinking, Moana might be right. The heart forge can purify darkness, not destroy it, but transform it. If I can reach Salem's original heart, the heart she had before the Grim. Ozpin, his voice tight, that's suicide. You would have to enter her darkness willingly. Let it consume you. John, quietly, I've been consumed by darkness before. I survived. Merida, grabbing his arm, that's not the same and you know it. John, covering her hand with his, I know. But I also know that I can't keep fighting forever. One day, the darkness will win, unless we change it. Transform it. Heal it. The princesses exchanged glances. Raya, finally, if you're doing this, we're coming with you. Mulan, the heart forge works both ways. You can share your light, but we can share ours too. Belle, 6 hearts, 6 worlds, 6 lights, combined with yours. Elsa, nodding, even the creator couldn't stand against that. Moana, smiling, then it's settled. We fight, not to destroy Salem, but to save her. Stitch, from John's shoulder, raising a tiny fist, Stitch helped too. Stitch bite darkness. John, laughing, genuinely laughing, yeah, buddy. You bite the darkness. The eve of battle. Location, Eclipse City, the central tower balcony. Late night. The city was quiet. The armies had settled into their barracks. The princesses had retired to their chambers. The stars were bright, brighter than John had ever seen them on Remnant. John stood on the balcony, the keyblade resting beside him, Stitch curled in his lap, already asleep. Merida walked out first, leaning against the railing. Merida, can't sleep. John, too much to think about. Merida, then stopped thinking. She didn't say anything else. She just stood there, her shoulder brushing his. Raya joined them, then Mulan, then Belle, then Elsa, then Moana. One by one, they gathered on the balcony, 6 princesses and 1 keyblade warrior, watching the stars. Moana, quietly, the ocean is singing tonight. It knows what's coming. Elsa, the north wind is silent. That's unusual. Belle, the rose is blooming. Even in the dark. Mulan, the spirits are watching. Waiting. Raya, the dragons are restless. Merida, the forest is holding its breath. John, looking at them, at all of them, whatever happens tomorrow, thank you. For believing in me. For coming when I called. Merida, punching his arm, shut up. Raya, taking his hand, we're not going anywhere. Mulan, touching his shoulder, we're in this together. Belle, smiling, together. Elsa, nodding, together. Moana, her hand on her heart, together. The keyblade pulsed, warm, steady, hopeful. Stitch. Mumbling in his sleep, Stitch, bite, darkness. John laughed, softly, so he didn't wake him. John. To the stars, tomorrow, we end this. One way or another. The stars didn't answer. But the princesses did. Merida. Together. And in the distance, the first light of dawn began to glow. Chapter 14. The Power of Light and Darkness. Location. Remnant, Eclipse City outskirts, the Grimlands border. Dawn. The day of battle. The sky split open. Not with thunder. Not with lightning. With war. Salem's forces poured across the horizon like a living shadow, grim of every shape and size, their red eyes glowing like embers in the dark. Behind them marched legions of battle droids, their metal feet pounding the earth in terrible unison. And above them all, Salem herself floated on a platform of black glass, her white skin stark against the crimson sky, her veins pulsing with ancient darkness. Beside her stood the Creator, a hooded figure wreathed in shadows that moved, that breathed, that hungered. The Creator, voice echoing from everywhere and nowhere, the Keyblade warrior dies today. His light will be consumed. But John Archer was not alone. The Republic and Starfleet stand united. Behind John, the sky sang with the roar of starships. Venator-class star destroyers descended through the clouds, their hulls gleaming white and red. Defiant-class warships flanked them, their nacelles glowing blue. The ground trembled as AT-TE walkers marched into formation alongside Federation hovertanks. Admiral Wolf Yularen, aboard the Resolute, voice echoing through every comm channel, all batteries, fire at will. Protect Eclipse City at all costs. Captain Jean-Luc Picard, aboard the USS Enterprise, make it so. The first volley struck Salem's front lines, plasma bolts and photon torpedoes tearing through Grim and droids alike. But for every one that fell, 10 more emerged from the darkness behind them. General Obi-Wan Kenobi, igniting his lightsaber, standing beside John, I've faced worse odds. John, summoning his keyblade, arc light already crackling along its edge, have you? Obi-Wan, a slight smile, no. But I've faced better company. The bloody battle begins. The clash was apocalyptic. Clone troopers fired in disciplined ranks, their District of Columbia 15s cutting down waves of droids. Jedi Knights deflected blaster bolts while slashing through Grim with emerald and sapphire blades. Starfleet security officers used phasers on wide beam, disintegrating entire clusters of heartless Grim hybrids. And through it all, John moved. John, dodging a Nevermore's talons, countering with a blast of arc light, there's too many. We need to break their command structure. Captain Rex, firing his twin pistols, standing back to back with a Starfleet Marine, then go. We'll hold the line. For the Republic. The clones roared in answer. The Grim's transformation. The creature, the one Salem called, the Groom, lunged at John. It was a nightmare-given form. A massive humanoid Grim wrapped in tattered wedding veils, its face, a smooth white mask with a frozen smile. Its claws were altar candles, melted wax dripping like blood. It had been created to marry darkness to despair. It swung. John ducked. And then he unleashed. John, arc light exploding from his chest, pure and blinding, you want light. Take it. Quote. The wave of power struck the Groom first, and the Grim screamed. But something unexpected happened. The Groom didn't die. It changed. Its black flesh cracked, and beneath the darkness, fur emerged. Brown fur. Soft fur. The claws shrank into paws. The candles became whiskers. The frozen smile became real, not a mask, but the actual, gentle expression of a John, staring, a badger. The creature that had been a nightmare was now a massive Eurasian badger, blinking in confusion, sniffing the air. And it wasn't alone. Across the battlefield, every Grim was transforming. Nevermore became ravens, then normal ravens, flying away in confusion. Beowulfs became wolves, then actual wolves, shaking their heads as if waking from a long nightmare. Deathstalkers became scorpions, small ones, scuttling into the grass. Even the massive Goliaths became elephants, tusked and gentle, trumpeting in bewilderment. Clone Trooper number 1, lowering his rifle, did that Grim just turn into a bunny? Clone Trooper number 2, watching a bunny hop past his boots, I'm not drunk enough for this. Salem's wince. Salem felt it. The light. Pure. Undeniable. Absolute. It struck her like a physical blow, not to her body, but to something deeper. Something she had forgotten she still had. A soul. Salem, clutching her chest, wincing, actually wincing. How is this possible? The creator's shadows flickered, uncertain for the first time. The creator, it's just a trick. Kill him now. Quote. But Jaune was already moving. Jaune's assault. He ducked, weaved, spun. His keyblade blazed with everything: fire, ice, lightning, wind, water. Light from one hand, darkness from the other, not fighting against each other. Working together. Jaune, deflecting a dozen blaster bolts at once. I am done choosing sides. I am done pretending light is good and darkness is evil. They are both tools, both powers, and I will use both to protect what matters. He launched into the air, keyblade armor materializing around him mid-flight, the mecha plates locking into place with a satisfying clang. His flight thrusters ignited, and he became a comet of blue-white light streaking across the battlefield. General Grievous falls. The cyborg general emerged from the smoke, 4 lightsabers spinning, his mechanical cough echoing across the ruins. General Grievous, coughing, wheezing, the Keyblade warrior will make a fine addition to my collection. He charged. Jaune didn't dodge. He met him. Jaune, you've collected enough. Arc light and abyssal darkness wrapped around the Keyblade simultaneously, forming a blade of pure paradox, something that should not exist but did. Grievous swung 4 blades. Jaune swung once. The Keyblade passed through Grievous's defense like smoke through a screen door. Through his durasteel chest. Through his organic heart, the few pieces of him that were still alive. General Grievous, his remaining eye widening. I am possible. He collapsed. His lightsabers clattered to the ground, extinguished. Obi-Wan, from across the battlefield, watching. Well, that's one way to handle him. The Omnidroid onslaught. Syndrome's Omnidroids dropped from the sky, dozens of them, then hundreds. Their adaptive legs clicked and whirred, their central eyes glowing red. Zurg's robot army followed, gray and purple, marching in perfect lockstep, their plasma rifles raised. Syndrome, on a floating platform, smug. You think your magic can stop science? Emperor Zurg, from his own warship, surrender the Keyblade, and I will make your destruction quick. The Omnidroids attacked, and Jaune's allies answered. Buzz Lightyear, flying through the air, punching through an Omnidroid's chest. Rangers. With me. Mira Nova, phasing through another Omnidroid, ripping out its core. Booster, catch. Booster, catching the core and throwing it at a third Omnidroid. This is so cool. The clone troopers adapted instantly, using ion grenades to short-circuit the droids, adaptation protocols, then concentrating fire on their joints. The Jedi used the Force to hold the Omnidroids in place while Starfleet engineers beamed directly into their internal systems and shut them down from the inside. Starfleet engineer, materializing next to Jaune, covered in grease. Their processors are surprisingly easy to override once you're inside. Jaune, how did you? Engineer, beam me back, Scotty. She vanished. Jaune, to himself, I love allies. Atlas falls. The Atlas fleet, what remained of it, had come to help. But the Sith Empire's forces had come to destroy. Sith war cruisers emerged from hyperspace, their hulls black and red, their cannons hungry. The Atlas ships never stood a chance. Admiral Ironwood, aboard the Valiant, watching his fleet get torn apart. Fall back. Fall back. Sith Lord Darth Vader, his voice echoing through every comm channel. You should not have come. The Valiant exploded. Ironwood ejected, his cybernetic body crashing into the snow below, broken but alive. The rest of the Atlas fleet was not so lucky. Winter Schnee, watching from Eclipse City, tears in her eyes. They're all gone. Jaune, through the comm. Winter, I'm sorry. But I can't stop to mourn. Not yet. Winter, voice hardening. Then don't. Make them pay. The dismantling. One by one, the Omnidroids fell. Not destroyed, dismantled, ripped apart, turned into absolute scrap, permanently. Jaune, tearing an Omnidroid's arm off with his bare hands, armor enhanced, but still, these things are impressive. But they're not alive. They don't have hearts. He plunged his Keyblade into its central eye. Jaune, and without a heart, you can't fight mine. The Omnidroid shuddered, then collapsed, every circuit frying at once. Syndrome, panicking. No. That took me years to build. Zerg. Retreating, this battle is inefficient. I will return when the odds are more favorable. His warship turned and fled. Syndrome tried to follow, but his platform had been damaged. He fell toward the ground, screaming. Jaune, catching him with a blast of arrow, then setting him down gently, or at least, firmly, you're going to answer for what you've done. But not today. Captain Rex, walking up, blaster aimed. Today, you're just arrested. Syndrome whimpered. Salem's transformation. Salem screamed. Not in pain, in desperation. She reached into the darkness, her darkness, and pulled. The Heartless answered. They swarmed toward her, merging with her flesh, transforming her into something inhuman. Something monstrous. Salem, her voice now a chorus of 1,000 screams, I will not be defeated. I will not be saved. She grew, and grew, and grew. A titan of shadow and bone. A queen of nothing, a god of emptiness. Jaune, looking up at her, and not stepping back, you're wrong, Salem. He raised his keyblade. Jaune, you will be saved. He brought the blade down, not on her. On himself. The keyblade pierced his own chest. Everyone, shouting in horror, Jaune. But he didn't bleed. Instead, light poured out of him. In darkness. And everything in between. Jaune, voice calm, steady, powerful, the Heartforge isn't just for allies. It's for everyone. Even enemies. Even monsters. Even gods. He pointed the keyblade at Salem. Jaune, your immortality is gone. The blast that followed was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. It wasn't light. It wasn't darkness. It was balance, pure, absolute, unavoidable. It struck Salem in the chest, and she screamed, not in rage, but in agony. The darkness peeled away from her. The grim essence evaporated. The centuries of corruption burned. And when it was over, she was human. The shockwave. The wave of balanced power erupted across the planet. It touched every kingdom, every city, every heart. In Atlas, General Ironwood felt his paranoia lift, not gone, but managed. He could think clearly for the first time in years. In Mistral, Lionheart felt his cowardice ease, and immediately began sending messages to the resistance. In Vacuo, the desert tribes felt their suspicion of outsiders soften, and opened their borders for the first time. In Menagerie, the Faunus felt their anger cool, not disappear, but transform into something more productive. And everywhere, Grim turned into animals. Beowulfs became wolves. Nevermore became ravens. Deathstalkers became scorpions. Goliaths became elephants. Even the smallest, most insignificant Grim became something alive and natural. Random farmer, watching a former Borbatusk snuffle around his cabbage patch, well, that's not threatening at all. The Borbatusk now pig, oinking oink. Farmer, I'm gonna name you Bacon. Salem weeps. Salem stood on the battlefield, stood, not floated, looking at her own hands. Her skin was pale, yes. But it was skin, not grim flesh, not corruption, just skin. She touched her face. No black veins, no red eyes, just a woman, a tired, ancient, broken woman. Salem, whispering, why? Jaune walked toward her. His keyblade armor was cracked, shattered in places. His face was bruised. He was limping. But he was smiling. Jaune, because you were free. He stopped in front of her. Jaune, free to desire your own path in life. Free to be who you are. That is what you are now. He paused. So try not to actually waste it. Salem stared at him. And then, for the first time in millennia, she sobbed. Not pretty tears. Not dignified grief. Sobbing. Ugly. Raw. Human. She fell to her knees, and Jaune knelt with her, and he hugged her. Jaune, holding her as she cried, it's okay. You're okay. You're free. Reunion. Ozpin walked across the battlefield. His cane hung at his side. His expression was unreadable. Salem looked up at him, tear-streaked, vulnerable, terrified. Salem, voice breaking, Ozma. Ozpin stopped in front of her. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Ozpin knelt. And he hugged her too. Ozpin, his voice thick, I have hated you. I have feared you. I have mourned you. He pulled back, looking into her eyes. And I have never stopped loving you. Salem broke again, sobbing into his chest, her hands clutching his coat. Salem, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I couldn't stop. I couldn't. Ozpin, stroking her hair, I know, my love. It's over now. You're home. The creator's end. The creator, the hooded figure, tried to flee. Jaune, not even looking, Rex. Captain Rex, raising his blaster, got him. A single shot. The creator fell, his shadows dissolving, revealing nothing. Just a puppet. A vessel. Buzz Lightyear, examining the remains, he wasn't real. He was just a tool. Something Salem created to externalize her own darkness. Jaune, nodding slowly, she was fighting herself. The whole time. Mulan, appearing beside him, that's tragic. Jaune, that's human. Cinder's end. Cinderfall tried to attack. She emerged from the shadows, her grim arm extended, her eye blazing. And a squad of clone troopers opened fire. Cinder, screaming, no. I was supposed to be. She didn't finish. Captain Rex, lowering his smoking blaster, sorry, ma'am. We don't do villain monologues. Clone Trooper number 3, yeah, we watched the sequels. We know how that goes. The balance restored. The battlefield fell silent. The sun broke through the clouds, not red, not black, but golden. Jaune stood at the center of it all, his keyblade planted in the earth, his cracked armor slowly repairing itself. Jaune, to himself, to the world, to the universe, shadow and light. Darkness and brightness, they are not enemies, they are partners. And now, he looked at the former grim, now animals wandering away. At Salem and Ozpin holding each other. At his allies, Republic, Starfleet, princesses, warriors, friends. Jaune, smiling, now, Remnant can heal. The keyblade pulsed, once, twice, 3 times. And then it sang. A sound that wasn't a sound. A feeling that wasn't a feeling. Balance. Peace. Hope. Stitch, sitting on Jaune's shoulder, covered in mud and happiness, Stitch like this. Stitch like balance. Jaune, laughing, yeah, buddy. Me too. Epilogue. A New Dawn. Location. Remnant, Eclipse City, various worlds. 5 years later, spring. The sun rose over Eclipse City like a blessing. Golden light spilled across the towers, the gardens, the training grounds. Children laughed in the streets, human and faunus alike, playing together without fear. The skies were clear. The air smelled of flowers and fresh bread. The grim were gone, not destroyed, transformed. The animals that had once been monsters now roamed the wilderness, living their own lives, causing no harm. Farmers learned to live alongside former Borbatusks, now just pigs. Travelers watched former Nevermore, now just ravens, fly overhead without fear. Remnant was healing, and Jaune Archer stood at the highest tower of Eclipse City, watching it all. The fate of Salem's forces. The war had ended. The trials had begun. Salem herself stood before a council of world leaders, Ozpin beside her, his hand on her shoulder. She had been judged not as a monster, but as a patient. Centuries of corruption, centuries of pain, centuries of being used by her own darkness. Salem, her voice quiet, steady, I do not ask for forgiveness. I do not ask for freedom. I ask only for the chance to help. To undo what I have done. Ozpin, addressing the council, she will remain under my supervision. If she falters, when she falters, I will answer for it. The council debated for 3 days. In the end, Salem was not imprisoned. She was rehabilitated. She now lived in a small cottage on the edge of Eclipse City, tended a garden, and spent her days healing the land she had once poisoned. Ozpin visited her every evening. They talked. They cried. They remembered. And slowly, painfully, beautifully, they loved again. The Disney villains locked away. Across the multiverse, justice was served. Syndrome was sent to the Galactic Republic's maximum security facility on Coruscant. His cell had no windows, no technology, no escape. He spent his days staring at a wall, muttering about capes. Emperor Zurg was tried by the United Galactic Federation and sentenced to eternal containment in a pocket dimension, one where his robots could not follow and his schemes could not reach. General Grievous was dead. His remains were scattered across 3 star systems to prevent anyone from rebuilding him. The creator, the puppet, was revealed to be nothing more than a vessel. The true darkness that had controlled him had been Salem's own corrupted heart, now purified. There was nothing left to imprison. Other villains, from Maleficent's remaining loyalists to lesser schemers who had allied with Salem, were rounded up by an alliance of Republic, Starfleet, and Kingdom forces. They were locked away in maximum security prisons across a dozen worlds. Permanently. Captain Rex, filing the last report. That's the last of them. No more dark empires. No more schemes. He paused. Well, until the next ones show up. John, smiling. That's the spirit. The confession, 6 hearts. Location, Eclipse City, the Garden of Hearts private courtyard. 2 years after the battle, evening. The garden was John's favorite place. Not because it was beautiful, though it was. Flowers from a dozen worlds bloomed together. Roses from Beauty's castle, lilies from Arendelle, orchids from Kumandra, thistles from Dunbrock, cherry blossoms from China, and glowing moonflowers from Motunui. No, John loved it because they were here. Merida, Raya, Mulan, Belle, Elsa, Kim. 6 women, 6 worlds, 6 hearts, and they were his. John, standing before them, his hands trembling, actually trembling. I've fought gods. I've defeated empires. I've traveled between worlds and stared into the face of absolute darkness and won. He took a breath. John, but this is the hardest thing I've ever done. Merida, arms crossed, smirking, spit it out, Archer. John, laughing nervously, I love you. All of you. Not as friends. Not as allies. As, more. I know that's selfish. I know that's greedy. 6 women can't share 1 man. That's not how any of this works. Raya, stepping forward, who said we're sharing? John blinked. Raya, taking his hand, I spent my whole life alone. Trusting no one. Fighting everyone. And then you showed up, and you saw me. Not the princess. Not the warrior. Me. Mulan, stepping forward, taking his other hand, I spent my whole life pretending to be someone I wasn't. A soldier. A son. A legend. You never asked me to pretend. Belle, stepping forward, touching his cheek, I spent my whole life in books because real people were disappointing. You're not disappointing. Elsa, stepping forward, frost crackling gently around her fingers, I spent my whole life afraid. Afraid of myself. Afraid of hurting others. You taught me that fear isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Kim Possible, stepping forward, grinning, I spent my whole life saving the world and never stopping to ask what I wanted. She kissed his cheek. I want you, Archer. Merida, finally stepping forward, punching his arm, gently, I spent my whole life fighting destiny. And then you showed up and made me realize, maybe destiny isn't something you fight. Maybe it's something you choose. She grabbed his collar and pulled him into a kiss. When she pulled back, the other 5 were smiling. Merida, we talked about this. Months ago. While you were off saving the universe. John, stunned, you talked about this. Belle, laughing, we're not children, John. We knew what we wanted. We were just waiting for you to figure it out. John, looking at each of them, really looking, so, this is real. All of you. All of us. Raya, squeezing his hand, this is real. Mulan, nodding, all of us. Elsa, smiling softly, together. Kim, winking, you're stuck with us, Archer. Hope you're ready. John laughed, a full, free, happy laugh. John, I love you. I love all of you. I don't know how this works. I don't know if this can work. But I want to try. Merida, grinning, that's all we ask. They stood together in the garden, 7 hearts, beating as one. The children. 3 years later, the nursery. The children arrived one by one, each a miracle, each a promise. With Merida, Fergus Archer, a boy with wild red hair and his mother's fierce smile. He could shoot a bow at age 3. He missed at age 3. But he tried. With Raya, Kumandra Archer, a girl with dark hair and her mother's determined eyes. She carried a wooden sword everywhere. She had not yet learned to not hit people with it. With Mulan, Lee Archer, a boy with black hair and his mother's quiet strength. He rarely spoke. When he did, everyone listened. With Belle, Adam Archer, a boy with brown hair and his mother's love of books. He had already read more than most adults. He was 4. With Elsa, Era Archer, a girl with white blonde hair and her mother's magic. Snowflakes danced around her crib. The nursery was always perfectly temperature controlled. With Kim, James Archer, a boy with brown hair and his mother's boundless energy. He had already tried to climb the tallest tower. He had almost succeeded. The nursery was chaos. Beautiful, noisy, perfect chaos. John, holding Ira in one arm, James in the other, watching Fergus try to shoot a stuffed animal. We're going to need a bigger house. Marita, from the doorway, laughing, we have a city, you dolt. John, smiling, then we're going to need a bigger city. The Heartless, a persistent darkness. Location, the multiverse, various worlds. Present day, the Grim were gone, but the Heartless remained. They always would. Darkness was not evil. Darkness was balance. And wherever there was light, there would be shadows. Wherever there were hearts, there would be those who lost them. King Mickey, sitting across from John in Eclipse City's council chamber. We've been tracking them. The Heartless are spreading, not just in Remnant, but across worlds we've never even seen. Worlds beyond the known universe. John, nodding slowly, then we need to be ready. Mickey, that's why I came to you. The Keyblade War, the real one, the one that scattered the light across the multiverse, it never truly ended. It just paused. John, leaning forward, and now. Mickey, his ears drooping, now, it's starting again. John was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled. John, then we'll be ready. The Kingdom Academy. Location, Eclipse City, the Kingdom Academy, grand opening. Present day, spring. The building had taken 2 years to construct. It was massive, towering spires that gleamed white and gold, training grounds that stretched for miles, libraries that held books from 100 worlds. But it wasn't just a fortress. It was a school. The Kingdom Academy was unlike anything Remnant had ever seen. Curriculum. Keyblade training, basic to master level. Magic theory and practice, all disciplines. Engineering and robotics. Cooking and survival skills. Multiversal history. Ethics of heroism. Dimensional navigation. Heartless studies. Faculty. Headmaster, Jaune Archer, Keyblade Master. Combat Instructor, Marita of Dunbrock, Archery and Tactics. Magic Instructor, Elsa of Arendelle, Elemental Magic. History Instructor, Belle of the Enchanted Forest, Multiversal History. Martial Arts Instructor, Mulan of China, Hand-to-Hand Combat. Stealth and Reconnaissance, Raya of Kumandra, Survival and Espionage. Science and Technology, Kim Possible, Engineering and Robotics. Guest Lecturers, King Mickey, Aqua, Terra, Ventus, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Captain Picard, and many more. The first class had 300 students, from Remnant, from Disney Worlds, from the Republic, from Starfleet. Humans, faunus, aliens, and a few talking animals who had somehow qualified. John, standing at the podium, addressing the crowd, this academy is not about power. It's not about glory. It's about responsibility. He looked out at the faces, young, hopeful, eager. John, the Heartless will always exist. Darkness will always exist. But so will you. So will we. And as long as there are hearts willing to fight, willing to protect, the light will never truly fade. He raised his Keyblade. John, welcome to the Kingdom Academy. Welcome to your future. The students cheered. The Keyblade blazed. And somewhere, across the multiverse, a new Heartless stirred. But that was a story for another day. The New Dawn. Location, Eclipse City, the Central Tower, John's office. Evening. John sat at his desk, looking out the window. The sun was setting, painting the city in shades of orange and purple. His 6 loves were scattered across the academy, Marita training recruits, Raya planning a mission, Mulan meditating, Belle cataloging new books, Elsa teaching a class on ice magic, Kim upgrading the defense systems. His children were with their mothers or with the nannies or, in Fergus's case, trying to climb something he shouldn't. And John was happy. Not the frantic happiness of battle. Not the desperate happiness of survival. Just, content. Peaceful. At home. Stitch, curled in his lap, as always, Stitch happy. John happy. John, stroking his fur, yeah, buddy. John's happy. Stitch, good. Stitch take nap now. He closed his eyes. John looked back at the sunset. The Arc clan, his birth family, had tried to contact him. Twice. He had ignored them both times. They had abandoned him. They had called him weak. They had been wrong. But he didn't hate them anymore. He just didn't need them. He had a new family now. A better one. A family he had chosen. John, To himself, to the sunset, to the universe, this is just the beginning. The keyblade hummed on his desk, soft, warm, approving. Outside, the first stars appeared in the sky. And Remnant, all of Remnant, breathed a sigh of relief. The darkness had not been destroyed. It had been balanced. And for the first time in centuries, the world was at peace. The end. And this is the end of this amazing epic crossover movie. Hope you guys like it. Do not forget to leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel to see more amazing content.